Nacho, the first nachos designed not to be shared. Live Mas. And in part by Chevrolet. Find new roads. And Choice Hotels. Going to your people is easy when you stay at Choice Hotels. Find us wherever your friends, family, and clients are. Book now at choicehotels.com. John Lester in his first year as a member of the Cubs. Joe Maddon in his first year as the manager of the Cubs. He likes where his team is at right now. They're developing. They're getting better. They're 33-27 on the season. That's the best mark at this point of the year for the Cubs since 2008. For Lester, 4-5 with a 4.25 ERA on the season. Crucky is an opposing batter. What are you looking for?
Oh, for the lefties in the Reds lineup, you got to hopefully he gets that cutter on the plate. If he starts it away and you start to swing, it's going to break out of the strike zone away. You're going to swing and miss or roll over and hit a grounder. And for righties, you heard what Todd Frazier said. You have to make sure it's over the center of the plate. If it's in, he's going to jam you and you're in trouble.
Let's check out the Reds lineup presented by Taco Bell. Cincinnati, as mentioned, decimated by injuries for much of the season. No Devin Mesoraco, no Marlon Byrd, no Zach Cozart. They do have Joey Votto, and he's starting to look like the Votto of 3-4 years ago again this season. Todd Frazier, as we mentioned, is having a heck of a year. But, Schill, you think the key to the whole operation might be down there in the 9th spot?
Well, those top four are lethal, no matter how you put them. But I think Billy Hamilton, to me, has to show that adjustment's going to be made. That speed, I think he's being overcoached. I think too many people are in his ear about speed, get on base, do this, do that. I think he needs to figure out how to get the ball on the ground and get on base. If he does, that changes the whole complexion of that lineup.
Right now, the weather's okay. It is muggy, but mostly blue skies overhead. There is a threat of rain in the area tonight, crossing our fingers that will head in another direction. Brandon Phillips back in the lineup for the Reds tonight. He takes the first pitch cutter way inside. Phillips suffered a groin strain on Tuesday. Didn't play Wednesday, didn't play Thursday. Pinch hit the last 2 nights. Back in there in the starting lineup tonight. Swing and a foul back. It's 1-1 on Phillips. 70 degrees at game time. A bit of a breeze blowing out towards left field. The folks here in Chicago endured a rain delay of 2 hours and 48 minutes last night. That began after the 5th inning. They eventually resumed play, and the Cubs won it. Scoring a run in the bottom of the 9th. Starlin Castro driving in Chris Bryant. A swing and a ground ball up the middle to his left. Castro on to first in time. And Phillips not getting down the line all that quickly. Again, just back from the groin injury as he grounds out, and that brings up Votto.
After the other night, 3 pitches, 3 home runs on the first pitch. Everything changes for Joey Votto from a pitcher's perspective now. Watch the early pitches in the count. He'll be getting himself into more 1-0 counts than he has in the past, because now you can't assume he's taking.
Votto hitting .296, 14 home runs on the season. Hit 1 out to left field last night. And hit 3 in 3 consecutive at-bats, all on the first pitch, as Schill mentioned earlier in the week, against the Phillies. And a low strike. It's 0-1. Joby Basner's the home plate umpire. Ron Culpa, the crew chief, is at first. Vic Carapazza at second. Dan Bellino at third. Ground ball down to first, scooped up by Rizzo.
Well, we talk about John Lester, and he has to command the inside, but if he misses, he has to miss in off the plate. And here he is with Joey Votto. First pitch of the at-bat, that's a pitch down in the strike zone that you know, it's a good pitch because it's moving. It's not starting down and in. It's starting in off the plate and breaking to that down and in location to the left-handed hitter.
What makes him a challenge now the rest of the night, that's not a pitch I think you go to get him out for the rest of the night. You got to use a different one each at bat.
A quick 2 outs for Lester. Here's Todd Frazier. Frazier third in the National League in home runs with 18. He's also got 18 doubles. And he has been lethal in the first inning this year, hitting .449 with 6 homers. As he takes way inside of the knees, ball 2.
So, Crucky, obviously it's different for a lefty than a righty, but are you conceding the inside part of the plate to him and looking for a mistake until you get 2 strikes?
Well, according to Todd Frazier, that seems to be what he's doing. And now here's one that you might want to open up and try to get to, but You see it. If the cutter's working, even a 2-0 count, it's like a defensive swing. That wasn't a, for a guy that has the power of Todd Frazier, the extra base hits, leading the National League in extra base hits. That's a 2-0 swing. It was more like a defensive. I'm going to try to get this thing out of my kitchen and hope to see another pitch. I think the first pitch of the game, he set up. I mean, you saw David Ross set in right underneath the elbows of Brandon Phillips.
Fouled off again, 2-2. Hard to keep a ball thrown there fair.
It's impossible.
And but the thing for me is I don't think you can consistently pitch there and win consistently in the big leagues. You can have big spells, you can have good runs, but it's next to impossible to continue to throw a high percentage of fastballs in that spot as a righty or lefty.
But you would think right here, 2-2, if he could throw that backdoor cutter.
Or paint down and away.
Tried to paint down and away, but he missed a couple of inches outside.
See what, if he keeps pitching like that.
Yeah. Did he freeze him? I think he froze him right there.
Well, that's one of those. I can't hit this anyway, so I swing.
Goes to an off-speed pitch that's fouled back by Frazier. David Ross is behind the plate for John Lester, former teammates in Boston. Ross signed as a free agent by the Cubs this offseason. This is Lester's 13th start. This is Ross's 13th start behind the plate in Lester games. That is not a coincidence.
No, you wouldn't think.
No.
I think the first time this ever became kind of a public thing was Maddox in Atlanta kind of picking. I know Carlton and McCarver.
You mean the personal catcher?
The personal catcher. Yeah. And I come to find out, in Boston we had Mirabelli and Tim Wakefield. But it was almost like a built-in rest day for your catcher, which turned out to be, I think, the key is the backup is good. When he's good, it changes everything.
8th pitch of the at-bat. Pops him up into shallow center. And Lester gets the Reds in order. To the bottom of the first, some of the Cubs' young talent will be on display when we come back. Anthony Rizzo hitting second. Chris Bryant hitting third. No score through half an inning at Wrigley. Score between the Reds and Cubs. Here is the lineup that Joe Madden will send out there tonight for the Cubs. It's brought to you by Taco Bell, and the Cubs are led by the two young players we've been talking about so far tonight. Anthony Rizzo, although not doing a whole lot this series, having a great season, and Chris Bryant didn't come up till April the 17th, but he has really delivered for the Cubs this year.
Yeah, he really has. And the thing is, you wondered, how is he going to drive in runs if he's not hitting homers? Because that's all you read about Chris Bryant. Homers, homers, homers. He can hit. I mean, he can hit the ball the other way. He knows how to drive in runs. And if you saw the game yesterday, an unbelievable base runner too. He's a total package.
On the mound tonight for the Reds, second-year right-hander Anthony DeSclafani. He is from Freehold, New Jersey, attended the University of Florida, started in the Blue Jays organization. Shill went to the Marlins in that big Burley Reyes deal, and then came from the Marlins to the Reds in the Matt Latos deal.
Man, you listen to Brian Price talk about him. He's a stuff guy. He's a makeup guy. He's got good head, good pitching IQ. Feels his way through a game. Has a couple good pitches. All about command of the fastball for a guy like this. He's not going to throw the ball by you consistently.
It's a very young Reds rotation, in part because of trades and in the offseason, in part because of injuries this year. Dexter Fowler leads it off for the Cubs and quickly is in the hole 0-2. Fowler, Rizzo, Bryant, top third of the order for Chicago. These two teams right about middle of the pack, both of them offensively just over 4 runs per game. More and more you see a guy like Rizzo, a big bopper, hitting in the 2 spot of a lineup. The Reds do it with Joey Votto. They've done it more often than not. A team like the Blue Jays, who we'll talk about a little bit later, they've got Josh Donaldson hitting in the 2 spot. They had Jose Bautista hitting in the 2 spot earlier this year.
Mike Trout.
Yep. Times have changed, eh, Crockett?
2's the new 3. It used to be the 3rd hitter was the guy you build your lineup around, and now it's the 2-hitter. And it makes sense. You're going to get 18 to 20 more at bats a year by hitting second as opposed to 3rd or 4th. And you'd rather see Anthony Rizzo hitting 18 more times than anyone else on the team.
And I think the other thing is the line. When you do that, you do it to your personnel. If you've got a Ricky Henderson, he's going to hit leadoff, and you're going to hit. It depends on how much depth I think in the lineup you have.
Well, Brian Price, the manager of the Reds, like Joe Madden. We'll talk about this as the night goes along. They both are batting their pitcher 8th. As Fowler lines the ball toward the right field corner, and Bruce will run it down for the first out of the inning. Now Rizzo.
Well, as a pitcher in the big leagues, there are some guys who are just hard to pitch to, and some guys you have to accept kind of a truth. And Anthony Rizzo, I think, is quickly becoming one of those guys. This is not about tricking him. This is not about getting him to chase up and out. You have to be able to make the pitch right in that area. If you cannot make that fastball pitch in that area consistently, don't do it.
Rizzo just building on a good year that he had last year. Just 25 years of age. Seems like a veteran when you look at the lineup, the position players for the Cubs. They've got so many young guys. And he lines the ball hard to left field, and making the catch is Christopher Negron, twisting and turning on the track, 2 down. So good contact for both Cubs batters, but nothing to show for it.
Well, they have charts. Shows you where they hit them, play them there.
Now Bryant. And look at those numbers. A 10-game hitting streak, almost a 400 batting average. All 7 of his home runs came in a 17-game span between May the 9th and May the 26th. But as you said, Crucky, even if he's not hitting home runs, he's doing a lot of other good things for this team.
Yeah, I mean, 35 RBI, second on the team to Anthony Rizzo. When you're a young player and you come up, and at first he was hitting 6th, and quickly it didn't take long for Joe Madden to understand this guy probably needs to hit 3rd. He is that good.
Now I got to ask it too, as a pitcher, Rizzo and Bryant both feel to me like they're comfortable hitting with 2 strikes. Is that something you're taught or something you naturally have?
Rizzo wasn't always like that.
Right.
He made some adjustments, 2 strike, and he goes with very little stride as opposed to his leg kick. Chokes up on the bat, and he already stands right on top of the plate. And it's basically about putting it in play and see what we can do with it. But you see how big he is. Him choking up, still he's a legitimate power threat.
Bryant taking some close pitches, and the count's in his favor at 3-1.
Barry Bonds choked up every bit of his career.
He did okay. I mean, if you like 790 homers or whatever he had
in that 1 year.
A slider up on 3-1, and the count now full to Bryant.
Well, that's a tough pitch because you see something up in the zone, you're not expecting it to break like that.
Oh, fastball fouled right off the mask of Brian Pena, who needs to walk it off. Ooh.
I think one of the things you'll see with both these guys as well as they get older, Chris Bryant won't miss this pitch very much. That ball's right where he wants it. That hurts.
Thank goodness I was left-handed.
Yeah. Otherwise you would have been a catcher.
Yeah, they just stuck his body on home plate to go get him.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
No.
Pena getting a chance to play a lot. Devin Mesoraco, the very talented catcher for the Reds, has a hip impingement that he can't catch. He's down to the minors and had a setback actually while he was playing left field. The hip's still bothering him. So Pena getting a chance to play a lot for the Reds right now. Without Mesoraco behind the plate, Zach Cozart suffered a terrible season-ending knee injury just a few days ago, and he was having his best season. Marlon Byrd, who survived being coached by John Kruk in the minors many years ago.
Outstanding word right there. Survived.
Suffered a broken wrist. He is out long term. No, it's not for everyone. This is popped up down the right field line. Bruce racing over, and it drops in fair. On his way to second is Bryant, and he's in there. And they're on the phone in the Reds dugout to see if they want to challenge it.
Oh, safe.
He got in there. And this continues a pattern. Last night, Bryant had 2 terrific base running plays, and it was one of the first things Joe Maddon talked to us about in his office today. He said, great hitter, yeah, but does a lot of other good things.
Well, Jay Bruce did everything he could. He hustled on a play, got it on one hop. But Chris Bryant made this by running hard the whole way. And, you know, it's so easy to do, to play hard. You see guys jogging to first base, and the ball drops in, and all of a sudden, oh, I can't go to second now. It's 2 outs. You're going to risk this. And look, as soon as he saw that ball bounce, great turn at second base, great slide to get it under the tag of Suarez. And, you know, this is how you play the game of baseball.
And I think a lot of young players and coaches make the mistake of thinking you have to be fast to be a great base runner. Dave Holland, Scott Rowland, 2 of the best base runners I've ever seen. Neither one of them burned it up, but they were always a base ahead of where everybody else was in a situation like that.
Right now with an 11-game hitting streak.
That's fun to watch, man. You get a young player that plays hard. You know, when your 2 best players are both young, and they both play the way that Rizzo and Bryant do, it's you know, Joe Maddon's job just became a lot easier.
Well, it makes it impossible for anybody on that bench to play the game any other way.
Well, here's the base running plays we were talking about from last night. This is Bryant coming home on what could have been a double play grounder to short. They called him out and overturned it on replay. And then this is legging out a double in the 9th inning. And he eventually came to the score on the game-winning RBI single by Starlin Castro. 2 very, very good base running plays by Chris Bryant. At second right now with 2 down. And Coughlin takes upstairs. Ball 3. Coughlin, not your typical cleanup hitter, sitting 243, 8 home runs. This Cub lineup figures to get a little bit longer as this year develops and into the future. Jorge Soler is on the DL right now with a bad ankle. Danny Baez was sent down to the minors. He started tearing it up, but he's out with an injury, gone for a couple of months. Coughlin. The Cubs as a team hitting just .234 with runners in scoring position on the season.
You know, one more point about the Bryant base running. I thought it was pretty cool how excited Joe was today in the office. He said that he won the game. That won the game last night. Plain and simple.
Remember, Maddon coming from Tampa Bay. I mean, they had a lot of talent under him, but they also a lot of good fundamentals. They played the game the right way. Still do. So Joe Maddon really, you know, he teaches that. He appreciates that.
Well, you heard him, and we were talking to him. That's what we do. That's how we do it. We do it this way, and those are the things for me that always kind of bring a clubhouse rallying around things. This is our way, and you become proud of it, and there's a lot of pride. You protect it.
Yeah, and you can only do that as a manager if your best players do it that way. And you know, when you see the way these 2 young men play, You got to be fans of them whether you like the Cubs or not.
I think some people in St. Louis might disagree, but I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm sure Cardinals fans can't stand either one of them, but you don't have to like someone to respect them. Nope. But that's what I felt about you when we played together.
Right. I mean, that was, I thought that was on the table. Mutual. Couldn't stand the sight of you, but 7:05 every night. I loved having you at first base.
You guys have come a long way.
Well, the good thing is for me, I only had to watch him once every 5 days.
Yeah, I had every single.
I thought when Schill came aboard, I was going to have to sit in the middle every night.
It might have been better.
3-2 again. And ball 4 to Conley.
Schill explained to us a hustle double with 2 outs. Does it make you change your, like if he's on first base, there's a different approach to Conklin right there, isn't it?
In my mind, no, in the sense that there's 2 outs. Anytime there's 2 outs, the base runner to me is meaningless. As long as I focus and get the hitter, the inning's over. He's a young pitcher. I don't know what's going through his mind, but he's managed to. You got by the big boy in front of in Rizzo, and you had 2 outs, and now you kind of let it slip away. Walks will destroy you in a situation like this. With lineups like this, all that means is you're going to see these guys again.
Seems like for a guy that throws a lot of balls down in the strike zone, he was up.
He obviously he's 48 punch out, so he's not a strikeout guy. He's a sinker ball down movement more than up movement.
And look at the pitch count, 24 already as Starlin Castro steps in. It was the RBI single by Castro in the bottom of the 9th last night that scored Bryant and won the game for the Cubs. Second walk-off hit for Castro this year. He's driven in 31.
I mean, he's on his way to 100 RBIs just because of who's sitting in front of him. Yeah, they get on base, they run the bases well, and Starlin Castro comes up and he's going to get opportunities.
It seems like Castro has been around forever, but he is only 25 years old. But look, since he debuted in May of 2010, he's got more hits than anybody else in the National League, but he's got more errors than anybody else in baseball, and 13 of those errors have come already this season.
Those don't even out.
Oh, you think
the negative outweighs the positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you think about it, he might have 1,000 hits by the time he turns 26.
Chopper weakly hit left side. Charged by Frazier. Can't come up with it. And the bases are loaded.
Well, it looked like Todd Frazier just got caught in between. You see him take a peek at Suarez at shortstop to see if he was coming on to play. Then he looked at Bryant to see where he was. And then you see him. He just got too deep on that ball, tried to field it behind him. And I think even if he fields that ball cleanly, how far he had to come because he was fielding it behind him to his throwing hand, I think Starlin Castro would have beat that out.
Frazier is charged with an error on the play. So 2 are out with nobody on. Then a bloop double, a walk, and an error. And here's Mike Baxter, the right fielder playing for the injured Jorge Soler. Baxter hitting .286 on the season, 6 for 21.
I always enjoyed the game within the game from the standpoint of he makes a big pitch and gets this guy out. The damage is done already. You've gotten deep in the lineup. You're going to see the top of that lineup more now because of the errors and the walks than you would otherwise.
At the knees, and it's 0-2. Sclafani has won his last 3 starts. He's 5-4 on the year. A 3.53 ERA. As Schill mentioned, not a huge strikeout guy. 48 strikeouts now in 72 innings on the season.
You think about the game of baseball, they say, oh, it'll all equal out. Fowler hits a line drive to right field for an out. Rizzo hits a bullet to left field for an out. A bloop double, a walk, and now it's swinging bunt basically for Starlin Castro, and the bases are loaded.
He boxed that ball. Yeah, that wasn't a bad pitch.
Hey, Shell, you see the pitch count now at 30 in the first inning. When do you start to feel fatigue as a starting pitcher at the outset of the game?
Well, this is an inning I always felt like he could reach to the well, quote unquote, once or twice, 2 or 3 times a game. This is one of those times. You don't want to have to do it before the 4th or 5th inning, but this is going to take a lot out of you. These last 15 or 20 are all high leverage pitches.
And that's the thing as a hitter. When you know a guy's not a strikeout pitcher, he basically relies on contact. You can be a little more selective, and you don't get panicky when there's 2 strikes on you. But he still has to make a perfect pitch to get you out.
The 2-2. And he gets the call over the outside corner to strike out Baxter and strand the bases loaded.
The perfect pitch.
Chris Bryant showing his hustle again, a 2-out double, but the Cubs could not capitalize. No score at the end of an inning. Back at Wrigley, we go to the second inning. The Reds and the Cubs on Sunday Night Baseball. No score. Cubs taking 2 of the first 3 in this series. Jay Bruce will lead it off for Cincinnati, hitting .215, 9 home runs. And first pitch swinging, ground ball to short. Castro in time. 1 down. Well, a lot has changed here at Wrigley Field since the last time we were here, which was the opening night of the season. Of course, the bleachers were under construction. They opened up the new left field bleachers in May. That big video scoreboard you can see in left field, that was open on opening night. They completed the center and right field bleachers just in the last week or so. That's a new scoreboard that they have added down the right field line. So the big crowds, everybody's excited to have the bleachers open again here at Wrigley Field. This is part of a 4-year makeover here at Wrigley Field. Bleachers, clubhouses, batting cage, kind of a plaza area that's under construction now on the third base side of the field.
Still felt like the ivy was brushing my right shoulder every time I wound up here.
Of course, the rooftops, you can't talk about Wrigley without talking about the rooftops. Ground ball back to the mound, speared by Lester, and he'll practically run it to first for the second out. So one of the issues with the new scoreboard, especially the big one down the right field line, is that it blocks the view of some of the people in the rooftops. And as everybody here locally knows, there have been all kinds of legal threats back and forth between the team and the rooftop owners. The Ricketts family, the owners of the Cubs, they have purchased 6 of the buildings that include the rooftops across the street. So
good to be the king.
That's one way to keep the money in-house. And this was always a big thing. The Cubs wanted all the revenue to themselves. The rooftops are actually paying the Cubs 17, still are for those that are not owned by the Ricketts family, paying the Cubs 17% of the money they take in for people to sit across the street and watch. But they're trying to modernize the park, but still retain, I guess, the historic nature and tradition of the ballpark as well. And of course, they did the same kind of thing at Fenway Park. Theo Epstein was over there then, and he's over here now.
And I don't think that that's a small thing. I think that there's attention to detail in what they're doing that is important, and that the GM recognizes. Now you're recruiting. It's almost like college recruiting when you go free agents, and it's as much about your family and your wife being comfortable as it is to players in the field.
Crucky, do you think anything's lost in terms of the tradition of the park here with the big scoreboards, the big video scoreboards?
I loved it the old way. When you came in here, you knew you were in a historic ballpark, and now with all the now you know me with electronics. You saw that today when I got this new phone.
Phone fiasco, yeah.
But I like the manual scoreboard, which they did still keep it. Yeah. It's not your vision anymore.
Well, the good news is you don't have to operate any of them. You just get to look at them like the rest of us. To the bottom of the second, no score at Wrigley. Tomorrow night, it's Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA on ESPN. It'll be the second telecast in the Global Game Series. We highlight the Kingdom of the Netherlands, including Anderson Simmons, who's from Curaçao, and Xander Bogaerts, who is from Aruba. This is 1 week ago when some family members of Bogaerts were watching the Red Sox play in a game. His mom, Sandra, and his uncle, Glenroy, watching the game, and how proud are they? As Bogaerts comes up with a big hit. Andrew Jones, who's another native of Curaçao, will join the telecast via phone for an interview. Kenley Jansen from Curaçao, Jurickson Profar from Curaçao.
Pop's just one of the 2 RBIs. He was happy. That's great.
To the bottom of the second, no score. Here's David Ross. Hitting 157 on the season. As mentioned, he has caught every start that John Lester has made. Ross will be followed by Lester, who's hitting in the 8th spot. And then rookie infielder Addison Russell batting in the 9th spot. As mentioned, both managers are batting their pitchers in the 8th spot. It's something that Brian Price has done now 21 times this year. It's something that Joe Maddon has done every single game that the Cubs have played in a National League park.
Foul tip.
And we'll give you Joe Maddon's reasons when Lester comes up. One-two to Lester, or to Ross rather, was outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. DeSclafani had to work hard to get out of the first inning. By the way, they changed the air on Frazier and have now given Castro a base hit on that play last inning. As Ross pops it up, scattering the Seagulls. Phillips the catch, 1 down. So here is Lester, who's battling a career 0-for. He is 0 for 61, although you talk to people who see him hit on a regular basis and they say the swing is better than that.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but the swing in BP's better. A little difference in the game, but it's hard to go 0 for 62. I don't care how bad your swing is.
And the 35 punch-outs are kind of an indicator that he's a little behind. But he actually is an athlete. He swings the bat decent. It's just he's hit some balls hard.
Live K-Zone is brought to you by AutoZone. Can he beat it out? He cannot. And goes to 0 for 62. All right, let's talk about the 8 spot. Joe Maddon says, first of all, if you can get your head around the fact that he hits in the 8 spot, because he only hits in the 8 spot the first time up, that's the way Joe Maddon looks at it. He says there are 3 reasons. One is if he's got a pitcher in the 8 spot and he wants to pinch hit earlier in the game, or double switch or something like that, he can do it 1 spot earlier. The second reason is, and this to me feels like the biggest one, when he's got Rizzo and Bryant hitting 2-3, he wants somebody in the 9 spot who gets on base more than a pitcher, so you can have more base runners on for your big boppers. And Joe Maddon admits he talked to Tony La Russa about this a few years ago. Tony La Russa was the first one to really do this a lot. And the third reason is this guy right here, Addison Russell, who the Cubs have. I mean, they love him. They think he's going to be a terrific player. If he hits in front of the pitcher, Truckee, he doesn't get anything to hit. If he hits behind the pitcher, then they have to pitch to him because there's a real hitter behind him. So now, unfortunately, like for David Ross tonight, he's got to hit in front of the pitcher. Somebody's.
I think the 2 hardest things for young hitters to hit 8th with the pitcher behind you, because you don't know whether they're pitching to you, pitching around you. You become, either overly passive or overly aggressive. And the second thing is, how do you convince a kid who's played every day in the minor leagues, all right, look, I know you're not going to understand this, but you're going to hit 9th. Now, if it's in the American League, like, hey, I don't care. As long as I get my bat. No, wait a second. The pitcher's going to hit in front of me. But when it's explained the way Joe Maddon explains it, I can understand it. But you still have to have someone buy into it.
They almost treat it like it's a second leadoff hitter, like it's the lineup starting over at the 9 spot. And so the pitcher comes up more often during a season than he normally would. But if you've got guys like Rizzo and Bryant hitting a spot higher, they're coming up more often with more men on base. I think you can make a case for the Matt.
Well, again, I think it's personnel dependent. If you have Ricky Henderson, he hits leadoff for you. I mean, and I think they envision.
Backhanded by Frazier, and we'll pick this up when DeSclafani hits in the 8 spot. Next half inning, John Lester will head back to the mound. We are scoreless at the end of 2. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Lexus and their pursuit of perfection and fidelity. Actually turning into a nice night right now. Knock on wood, fingers crossed. As we go to the third inning, no score. Follow your favorite team and players all season with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat now. Dan Schulman, Kurt Schilling, John Kruk, Buster Olney. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN from Wrigley Field, a ballpark that Krucky really liked to hit in, and that Schill didn't really like to pitch in all that much.
I love to shag BP.
Yeah, me too. Got yelled at by both sets of bleachers.
Yeah, but they were funny.
They were hilarious.
7, 8, 9 coming up for the Reds. Lester has retired all 6 batters he's faced so far. And he jumps out in front of Christopher Negron, the left fielder, 0-1.
They did research.
Yeah, like Yankee fans. They didn't talk about, like, oh, you stink. They talked about your 4 punch-outs in a game, or the 9 runs you gave up on 14 hits. Very specific.
Did you make that up, or did you give up 9 runs on 14 hits?
Well, I'm sure, but they were boisterous.
Yeah.
And very enthusiastic.
Yes.
Yeah, you hit 240 in rookie ball.
Yeah. Right.
I know. Shocker.
Outside, a ball and 2 strikes.
And then you run into them outside the ballpark. Hey, what's going on, Joe? The great fans, though. And there's nothing like this. Is an atmosphere all onto itself.
A neighborhood park, right? I mean, Wrigleyville, before and after games, very special. 1-2. So Lester's trying to work that outside corner in 2 strike counts.
He's punching his hip for it.
I think he's frustrated. He thought that was a strike. He's got a hit. You know, he's. Some guys just want more strikes called, but he's toned it down a lot, which I think was a must for him.
In on his hands and a fly ball to left field. 1 down.
Well, you watch between innings, David Ross, when he's warming him up, he's outside of the batter's box. And now look where he's setting up here. Look at his left foot. It's almost underneath Negron's, basically his back leg. It's right near his back leg. And he wants John Lester, if you're going to miss it in here. And that ball did catch the plate, but it was in far enough that Negron couldn't get his hands extended. He gets jammed and hits a little pop up to left field. David Ross is making an established point. If you're going to throw it out here, you're going to miss out here. If you're going to throw it in, you better miss in.
Some guys will catch and put the glove where they want you to start the pitch. He's putting the glove where he wants it to end up at worst.
Here's the number 8 hitter, the Reds pitcher, Anthony DeSclafani. And the big reason why DeSclafani, or the pitcher, hits 8th as often as he does for the Reds is because of the guy in the on-deck circle right now, the fastest man in baseball, Billy Hamilton, who had been a leadoff hitter, but he just doesn't get on base enough. He's got a .258 on base percentage. So the Reds move him down. By the way, John Lester's getting he's getting the corners so far tonight. So they move Hamilton down to the 9 spot. Again, kind of the double leadoff thing, speed before the top of the order. So Brian Price has his pitcher in the 8 spot. DeSclafani can handle the bat a little bit. Did he check it? Yes, he did. It's 2-2.
Well, when the umpire's giving you the corners, the skill is to be able to make the pitch. And not a lot of guys can repeat that, because if I can throw a ball and have it called a strike, I'll take that as often as I can.
That's a bad miss right there.
Yeah.
But luckily, it's to a pitcher.
Yep. A lot of times when I had a guy that didn't swing the bat, I'd use the pitcher to get comfortable with the pitch I hadn't been throwing, be it a curveball or a slider.
Curveball swung on and missed. 2 down.
Guys, let me ask you, with John Lester's issues throwing to first base, well known, if you're the Reds in this situation, you want Billy Hamilton bunting?
All 4 at bats.
And more than once in that
absolutely. No, all 4 bats should be bunts no matter what. Because I don't think there's anything, and I bunt it right back to him. And if he throws me out and he's comfortable in the first one, then change.
For those who don't know, John Lester has only made 2 pickoff throws in the last 2+ seasons. He is not comfortable throwing to first. He is not comfortable throwing the ball to bases when the ball's hit back to him either. And you can see, respecting the speed of Hamilton, look where the corner infielders are in Bryant and Rizzo.
I don't understand that.
Why he's not bunting?
Yeah. It doesn't take a good one. It just takes getting the ball down.
You got to make him try it.
Yeah. Well, but
like you said, if it's successful once,
right,
change.
And that's why, right there, because you bring the infield in and you shorten their ability to defend the ground ball.
And the thing is with him, is with Billy Hamilton, you're not just bringing in the third baseman to first baseman.
Yep.
Short and second have to shorten up.
So now we've got the fastest man in baseball at first, and we've got a guy who's only thrown to first twice in almost 2.5 years.
And neither one. And he has the yips throwing
Yeah.
first base from the rubber, and he hasn't shown the ability to make that throw. So, you know, for me, Billy Hamilton should be somewhere near the second base umpire when he's leading off. Make him throw.
And you look at how he pitched to Brandon Phillips' first at bat. Cutter in off the plate for ball. Cutter in off the plate that he swung. Tough pitch for David Ross to get a pitch inside and try to throw even to second base. So this could open up the outside part of the plate for Phillips.
Big lead, and he's going. Ross's throw not in time.
Not even close.
And you could see, and we saw this the last time we were here. This is the way that Rizzo does it. When he holds a runner on, he's not really holding him on. No. He's just there to try to catch the ball.
I think he's defending the throw.
Exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, that's just wow. I mean, David Ross just toss that back to Lester, because when you get a lead that big and you can run like him, I mean, you get a lead that big at anyone, they should be able to steal the base.
Well, that's the 16th stolen base with Lester on the mound this year.
And for a lefty,
that's a huge number.
It is, but you know what? The thing about it is there's 2 outs. So from a John Lester, so what? Okay,
yeah,
he's on second. There's 2 outs. Let me execute and make my pitches and get the hitter.
He's going to go to third too.
Why wouldn't you? I don't think he'll throw it.
Looks like he wanted to there. I mean, Addison Russell's playing 10 feet from second base. If you're going to pick someone off, this is the time.
Well, this is also for athletes. This is the amazing power of the mind.
There he goes. And he's in there without a throw.
But again, huge lead, not looking, let him go, but there's 2 outs.
Right.
And Billy Hamilton can do all he wants. If he's not going to steal home, Brandon Phillips don't get a hit.
The only thing you've done now is opened up the wild pitch.
Yes.
Hooked foul, 1-2. Hamilton now with 28 steals on the season. That leads the majors. He's 7 for 7 stealing third this year.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, Dan, if you look at this, he could steal 6 bases tonight and be on third base every at bat with John Lester pitching, without giving up a bunt or an out.
Yeah.
It's troubling, because that impacted them last October in the playoffs, that game he pitched.
With Oakland against the Royals. A little check swing, Tapper toward third. Charged by Bryant, and the inning is over. So a base hit and a couple of stolen bases. But the Cubs get out of it. Top of the order coming up for Chicago. Watching the Reds and the Cubs, reply using hashtag #RepMyTeam with a picture of how you're supporting your team, and your tweet could appear later on tonight here on the telecast. Top of the order for the Cubs as we go to the bottom of the third in a scoreless game. Dexter Fowler, Anthony Rizzo, and Chris Bryant against Anthony DeSclafani. Fowler with a fly ball to right field his first time up. Nice running catch by Jay Bruce. Foul back our way, just to our left, couple of boots over.
I think if they contend this year as the year goes on, or become a favorite next year, this is going to be one of the guys people are going to kind of look past as being crucial on both sides of the ball.
What do you like about him?
Everything. I feel like he's a smart ball player. I can't tell offensively, how much more ceiling there is as a hitter. Big, fast, covers a lot of ground in the outfield. Gets the whole on-base percentage thing.
As he fouls it back. Buster, the Cubs talk about maybe having a spot for all of their young prospects on the field at one time. Is there an heir apparent in center field in their system?
Well, no, they've got a lot of outfielders, but there's not anyone right on the cusp, which is why they went and got Fowler. They wanted his experience as a leadoff hitter.
There's another fly ball to right field. And Bruce makes the play for the first out. Soler was in right field. When he gets healthy, he's probably in right field again. Actually, Chris Bryant's played some center field.
Don't put it past him.
Yeah, and he's played some left, but right now he's mostly a third baseman. They've got Kyle Schwarber, a young catcher, but he could wind up in the outfield as well. They know who's anchoring things at first base, though. There's no gray area here.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy you can build a team around. And, for a kid that's 25 years old, that's saying something.
Hey, Shill, I talked to a couple of advanced scouts today. You said that the clear spot to pitch Rizzo is up in the zone, but in 2015, there are not a lot of starting pitchers who pitch up in the zone like you did.
Well, you can't. It's a mistake pitch. To throw a ball up in the strike zone, you have to make a mechanical mistake. It's almost like chasing a bad pitch. You have to do something wrong mechanically. So it's hard. No one can consistently pitch up there unless you're kind of a Sid Fernandez is a guy that I remember doing that. But this is a guy, I think you have to throw the fastball from the belt to mid-thigh on the inside corner, and you have to continue to throw that pitch to open up something on the outer half of the backdoor slider or the split below. But I think you got to get in there at his belt.
One thing that's really helped him, he's really cut down his swing with 2 strikes on him. As he drives the ball to left field, well hit, but it'll stay in the yard for Negron, 2 down. Rizzo's got some good 2-strike numbers this year. 2 outs, and here's Bryant.
Well, we're talking about Chris Bryant. What he offers, brings to the table. The great base running right there, taking advantage of the blooper, and the great slide into second base to get into second with 2 outs. And the great defense that he plays, charging the ball, making a strong throw to first base. And when you talk to Joe Madden about him, he said the thing he loves more about him than that is how versatile he is. Double switch, he can play anywhere in the outfield, third base, wherever you need him.
3 up, 3 down go the Cubs. We're at the end of 3. Still no score. Joey Votto will lead it off for the Reds when we come back. Evening here in Chicago. No scores. We go to the top of the fourth inning between the Reds and the Cubs. Joey Votto leads it off for Cincinnati. Jon Lester's first pitch. He gets the call over the outside corner. It's 0-1. Time now to take a look at our value player, brought to you by True Value. A 3-home run game earlier this week for Votto, the third such game of his career. The only other Red who's ever done that, Hall of Famer Johnny Bench. And again, maybe the most amazing thing about what Votto did earlier this week, Rocky, is he swung at the first pitch in all three at bats, something he thinks he may have done at some point before in his career.
High school?
Nah, Billy Hatcher's first base coach said probably Little League. He couldn't remember if he's ever done it. There's my buddy Hatcher. I love that guy.
Choking up, a ball and 2 strikes.
Guys, I asked Votto about that, swinging at the first pitch and hitting those home runs, and he said it was just one thing, one night, and then after the night was over, I scrapped that plan. I checked with the Cubs, and they think there's more to it than that. They say this year he's attacking left-handers on the first pitch a lot more.
I can tell you as a pitcher, it changes everything for him for the rest of the year in a good way.
To center field. Fowler back. Fowler makes the catch. Now let's go back to Tuesday. These are the 3 home runs that came in a game against the Phillies. First pitch from Aaron Harang in the third.
Yeah, that's the thing. Aaron Harang's not going to walk guys, so you got to be aggressive with him early. And you see the pitches. Where's the location? One was away, one was middle, one was in, but they were all down. And that's the power stroke for Joey Votto. Don't let that fool you. I'm going to scrap that plan. 3 pitches, 3 swings, 3 home runs. That plan's going to be back in the playbook as soon as possible.
Here's Todd Frazier.
Well, if you're everything's analytics nowadays, and if you're facing a guy, for me, whose swing percentage is under 15% on the first pitch, then I'm throwing him a fastball down and away to get ahead. That approach he took the other day changes everything. Now you have to go out and you have to make a better pitch or the different pitch. Now he's in the 1-0 count a lot more than he usually would be, which is just going to help him.
Way down and in, a ball and a strike on Frazier.
But we always talk about, and when the infield shifts going the other way or bunting against the defense, it doesn't work if you do it once.
No.
When you do it 3 or 4 times in a game, everybody has to change and adjust.
Saw the Phillies still didn't adjust to it.
Chill, you mentioned analytics.
Nice play by Ross.
So you mentioned analytics. I don't think any player, any hitter I've ever spoken with has a better feel for analytics. So maybe there was something in those numbers that Joey Votto found.
Well, Crucky, it's easier to hit 1-0 than 0-1. Now, he's a guy clearly not afraid to hit with 2 strikes like Tony Gwynn never was. But I would imagine if you can go 0-1 or 1-0 instead of 0-1, they take that advantage.
Yeah, and you look at the numbers. I'm not big on the analytics and all that stuff like Joey Votto is, but the numbers prove out over the course of a long season. Guys who swing at the first pitch that's a strike, you have a great batting average and a great chance to get on base.
Jay Bruce grounded out his first time up. No scores. The Reds bat here in the top of the 4th. Lester has allowed, yes he did, says Toby Basner. Lester's allowed just 1 hit. That was to Billy Hamilton with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. Hamilton promptly stole 2nd and 3rd, but was stranded there. Otherwise, Lester has set down everybody.
This is a better Jon Lester than he has been his previous starts, just because his misses are the side he's throwing to. And Kurt will tell you, the hitter, as a hitter, when the guy's coming in off the plate, he wants to come in, but he's missing in off the plate. He's got some good stuff going.
And he strikes out Bruce. No score going to the bottom of the 4th. Cubs manager Joe Maddon will join us live from the dugout when we come back. Welcome back to Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell. Well, so far we have dodged any bad weather, and a guy who's awfully excited about that is Cubs manager Joe Maddon. Endured a 2-hour and 48-minute rain delay last night, although the Cubs came back to win the game. Joe, you needed some distance from John Lester tonight. 4 very good innings, 51 pitches. What do you like?
Yeah, I like the velocity. I think he's we talked about being more assertive or aggressive in the zone with his fastball. I think we've seen that. And the cutter's playing better off of that pitch. How about the changeup to Votto, left on left? That was outstanding also. I think he's pitching really well, and him and Rossi always do a nice job together. We talk as just fans of the sport about, the bleachers have been rebuilt, what the ballpark looks like now. How do the players feel about having the ballpark whole again? I love it. I mean, absolutely love it. I mean, the outfielders really dig it because they get out there. They have to exchange with the fans during the course of the game. From standing here looking out, it really has this enveloping feel. You talk about the friendly confines. It gets friendlier when the fans are out there. I think our folks have done a wonderful job of putting it back together. The scoreboards, everything adds to the experience here at Wrigley. Yeah, Crucky was talking about the friendly confines when he came in here as a Philly or a Padre, how nice it was to interact with fans out there. The fans are great, man. I mean, I know that I'm sure they're a little bit more difficult for him, but no, the fans have been outstanding. I talk a lot to the folks around the dugout. It's really a different kind of an experience. That ball was down, wasn't it? What do you got on that box?
No, K-Zone says strike.
Okay, I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
Joe, Chris Bryant, you mentioned in our meeting with you today that he basically won the game for you last night with his base run. Another great base running play in the first inning today.
Well, it starts out of the batter's box. You saw him. I saw the replays running out of the batter's box. He's thinking 2 and not 1 all the time. I know that's obviously he should be thinking 2, but he plays that extra base game all the time. Anticipates well. Doesn't assume that he can't go. A lot of the guys that don't run the bases are assumptionists, where they feel like they can't do something, so they cannot. He feels like he can, and he's all like last night, the play at the plate where he beat the plate. Not many guys do that, and even eventually to score the other run. I mean, he's just always getting good jumps, always heads up on the bases, and I think it's probably innate more than it was taught.
Hey, Joe, we appreciate the time. Good luck.
My pleasure, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us. Joe Maddon, the manager of the Cubs.
Very smart man. They didn't say the same things to him that they did to me. I can guarantee you that.
Starlin Castro, the batter, after the ground out by Chris Coughlin.
Do I look like someone that I would enjoy the banter with the fans?
No.
Oh yeah.
But that's why they bantered with you as much as they did.
Maybe
right?
That's one of the reasons.
And a soft liner into right field, a base hit for Castro. But you hit well here, right? You enjoyed hitting here.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Why?
Well,
wind
for the most
blowing
part,
out?
the wind was blowing out.
Yeah.
You can hit a pop up, and they had a good chance of it going somewhere that they weren't going to catch it. But the only thing I didn't like about hitting here was they kept the infield grass so high.
In the day games.
Well, yeah, they were a little rough too, but I think Chicago had something to do with that. It had nothing to do with the Cubs.
Quite a bit. Good hitting background?
Very good. Yes, it's even when the Ivy early in the season, because back then the Cubs were in the National League East, they were in the same division as us, and before the Ivy turned green, it was still a great hitter's backdrop. And
did you ever have any collision? I don't know if people, I'm sure a lot of people know this, behind that Ivy is a brick wall. That's it.
Yeah,
Did you ever have any collisions out there?
Yeah, you can see when they're in left field where the fence goes around that from the foul line, it's straight, and then there's like a little
turn.
Yeah, well, I got caught in there one day with a.
Got caught.
Well, it was windy, and the ball went up, and I ran back to the fence, to basically dead left field, and then the ball started drifting towards center, and I couldn't take my eye off it because I was stunk as an outfielder. And I ran right into that thing.
Big bear trap in the corner.
You can see that thing. She'll draw
right where it curves up.
Right there.
Yeah.
There's still like a
out.
Crucky indentation in the brick wall.
Actually, some bricks that aren't there anymore.
Yeah, they had to replace the Ivy too.
Gee, I can't imagine why they like bantering with you when you were an outfielder here.
I mean, I ran right into that thing. I'm like, wow, that came up on me quick.
And that was just during batting practice.
I wouldn't even go out there and shag at batting practice.
I love shagging here.
Guys.
I love shagging here when I wasn't pitching, because they could cause emotional duress when you were playing.
From the mound, can you hear them? Can you hear specific things people are saying?
That's what makes it fun. Those are fun because they say things about your family that you won't hear anywhere else. And it's funny most times.
Swing and a miss, and Baxter is gone 2 down.
Hey guys, I was going to put some numbers this. Truckee, during the course of his career, hit more homers in Wrigley Field than any other park except for his 2 home ballparks when he was with the Padres and when he was with the Phillies. A 907 OPS in Wrigley.
Truckee.
I did what?
There you go. You hit well here.
Yeah. I enjoyed hitting here.
Live K-Zone is brought to you all game long by AutoZone.
I think because it seemed like they had a lot of right-handed pitchers, which I enjoyed far more than lefties.
David Ross popped up his first time up. Out of play, and it's 0-2.
I got beat up pretty good here one day. Whoa, that was ugly.
Literally?
Yeah. We got into a fight, and I had to run across from first base to the third baseline to try to get Rick Sutcliffe, who was charging out at our pitcher for hitting Andre Dawson. And then next thing I know, Jody Davis and Keith Moreland.
Oh, not small guys.
No.
Ooh, there was some impact there.
You got tag team?
I got whipped.
Ross strikes out. Inning over, no score, end of 4 here at Wrigley. Every Sunday on Baseball Tonight, ESPN and Major League Baseball feature a local Little League program as part of our Sunday coverage. Tonight, we welcome Kilbourne Park Dynamite Little League, located in Northwest Chicago, a softball team chartered in 2014. Their enrollment has doubled in the last year. I got a visit from Todd Frazier before the game. Chris Bryant came over to say hello, and if you watch Baseball Tonight, a terrific segment with Nicole Briscoe when Jason Mott came over and surprised him and spent some time with him. So fun for them and fun for us to have them here tonight at Wrigley.
Jason Mott's a great human being. Yeah. He's fun to get to visit with for just a little while we get to before a game, but he is a pretty good man.
Yeah, he is.
There's Brian Pena leading off the fifth for the Reds. Pena, Suarez, Negron. 5, 6, and 7 in the injury-depleted Reds lineup. Pena is 8 for his last 18, though, hitting an even 300 on the season. Pops it up for Rizzo. One down. Well, maybe the biggest story in baseball over the last week and a half has been the unbelievable role that the Toronto Blue Jays have been on. They have tied a franchise record with 11 wins in a row. They've scored 88 runs in those 11 games. They just completed a sweep of the Boston Red Sox. Their starting pitching has gone from the worst in baseball to pretty good during the streak, but that lineup of Reyes, Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion, Russell Martin, I mean, they are just pounding people these days.
Yeah, it's there's no rest in that lineup, and you kind of figured when they got Donaldson, okay, if they stay healthy, the lineup is 9 deep, and you know, when you're giving 8 runs a game, you should win most of them, I'm thinking.
Eugenio Suarez pops one in the air to right field for Baxter. Even guys, Devin Travis, who's been out for about a month, but he had a great April. Chris Colabello's hitting about 340, a guy who was with the Twins last year.
The two things that jump out at me is the Marcus Stroman injury in spring training. Clearly a much bigger thing now than it was. Number 2, Josh Donaldson. I mean, what was Billy Beane thinking? Because to me, that you traded a perennial top 10 player in the game. And, I mean,
he's an MVP candidate.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I looked at the deal, and it's like, what the heck was he thinking?
He's hitting second in that lineup. When Reyes was out, he led off for a couple of weeks. Imagine starting the game as a pitcher, and your first 3 are Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion.
Yeah.
That's the way they work. They've got a series, well, actually 2 series, 2 games. It's kind of home and home week in baseball. This for some teams, interleague play. They've got 4 games coming up this week with the Mets. So a terrific pitching staff of the Mets and the great hitting of the Blue Jays.
Yep. And a hot hitting Blue Jays team, and that's, I mean, you're 8 runs a game.
If you think back over the last 15 years to World Series champions, the only team, and maybe I'm wrong, but 2002 the Angels to me were the only team that really slugged their way to 11 wins first. This team has got out hit their pitching mistakes. Yeah. Now the question for me, what happens at the deadline if they're legitimately in it?
Well, they're starting pitching. It's Mark Burley, R.A. Dickey, Drew Hutchison, Marco Estrada, who's actually pitching well, and Aaron Sanchez, a young fireballer who just went on the DL with a lat strain. But them getting 6 or 7 innings has kind of made the bullpen better, because now the bullpen's not pitching 4 or 5 innings a game, and the offense is just doing its thing.
And the question I would ask you, if to any Toronto fan, you win the wild card, you got to play that one game Monday. Who are you giving the ball to?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, and
that's a tough one.
That might not be the rotation we're talking about in September as well, because there's a lot of arms out there on the market, and that's a team that usually that would sneak in and do something.
Negron takes just low, and the count is full, and Lester did not like the call. I don't think he's upset with himself. He's probably, Shilly, you think he's upset with the call?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He has a tough time hiding it. And I mean, we talked about it, and he tries. The challenge is that for young pitchers, that's a game into itself. The whole umpire, catcher-pitcher dynamic. It's such a crucial piece for the pitcher. I don't want to have to get 9 hitters and an umpire out.
Lined into left center field, and instead of the strikeout he wanted, it's going to be a double for Negron as the ball disappears into the ivy. And Negron's at third base right now, but they're going to send him back to second.
Yeah, there's a he kind of looked at the umpire with okay, you know, that's on you. And it's not, but as a pitcher, and that's. But again, I go back to this point. There's 2 outs, so as much as that stinks, keeps your head down, keeps your pitch count down. He made a mistake. He let the ball. That's where he's been getting beat his last 2 starts. Crucky trying to go in and leaving that ball middle.
Yeah, that was a mistake. You know, but he keeps it in the ballpark, and now you have this is the dilemma of hitting the pitcher 8th. 7th hitter, it's a 2-out double. You have the 8th hitter coming up now, and that's what Joe Madden said. He said that's the thing you have to live with if you're going to do this. And Brian Price is going to have to live with this one with 2 outs.
DeSclafani struck out his first time up. And Ross heading out to the mound with a purpose.
Kurt, what do you think he's saying to John Lester?
Well, I mean, Dan, we were talking about this quote from David Ross the other day about trying to keep John, positive and confident. I think this is one of those things. When you look at that quote, you know, that was kind of startling for me to read in the sense that you know, you're talking about the number 1, and you know, to have that's what you say about your 5. That's what you say about a rookie. This is one of the premier pitchers in the game, and David Ross clearly feels like he's got a role in all this, and it's significant.
to the pitcher. But even if the pitcher was hitting ninth, this is a pitch around, walk a guy, 2 outs, so it really doesn't matter.
It's the same thing when the 8th hitter doubles with 2 outs.
Yes. Oh, David, what are you doing? I understand you want to keep guys close, but that you're looking at.
There's 2 outs. That I always, I have no problem with pickoffs and all the other things that you do. When you have 2 outs and you have a guy like this on the mound, don't make the game more complicated. Don't be tricky. Let him make his pitch. I think that's what David said to him. I think he said to him, hey, listen, focus, make some pitches.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You go out and tell the pitcher, hey, let's go. We got the pitcher up here. Let's make some pitches. And then
throw one into center field.
You're trying to pick someone off at second. Like, can he get the pitcher out?
Well, now these pitches become high leverage pitches because it's a nothing game. And these are different. These are different pitches physically.
Gets him to end the inning. 4th strikeout of the night for Lester. Still scoreless. Lester will lead it off when we come back for the bottom of the 5th after this. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA, the Global Game Series highlighting the Kingdom of the Netherlands, specifically Anderson Simmons, Xander Bogaerts. Braves and Red Sox tomorrow night. The Rays and the Nationals Wednesday night on ESPN2. And then we've got the Giants and the Dodgers 1 week from tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. Bottom 5, no score. John Lester leads it off, grounded out his first time out.
He's going to break the schneid with a homer.
Not with that swing.
Nah, not that one.
Not unless he.
And probably not with 2 strikes, but.
Yeah, they better move to Williamsport.
Yeah.
Show how many at-bats in your big league career till you got your first hit, you know?
My first. I got a single off Rob Dibble. And then
in your first at-bat?
First at-bat.
And it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, there was nowhere to go but downhill from there. Because the next pitch he threw at a hitter and we were brawling.
Who'd you wind up dancing with in the brawl?
I ran to second base when he threw the pitch, and the fans were going nuts. And I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. They're cheering for me, in Cincinnati. And then I saw Eric Davis run in front of me.
Well, through the miracle of television, We have some video of that moment.
Oh,
April 11th, 1991, a young Astro by the name of Curt Schilling at Riverfront Stadium. Look at the crouch. And takes a Dibble fastball right back up the middle. An RBI single, it says here. You drove in a run?
Yep. Yep.
You needed a jacket show.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I thought it looked cool.
It was a thing to do.
Certainly wasn't going to slow me down.
No.
But then the next pitch, Eric Yelding, he threw a ball behind Eric Yelding, and we were fighting, and I'm sliding into second base, and Eric Davis runs by me. I'm like, what just happened? And I look over, and Craig Biggio's jumping on the pile like a guy jumping on a trampoline. And it was all downhill after that. It's actually a kind of a story grows after that because we took Rob Dibble's glove.
Like it was just lying there on the field during the brawl, and
we
you took
his
it
glove
just because you could?
We took his glove, and we had fun with it, and we kind of played a home and home, and we took his glove, and we made it a mess.
Frazier, can he get it there in time? Safe. Frazier, a nice backhanded stop, just a little bit of trouble getting a grip on it, though.
He's had two tough plays. One with Starlin Castro in the first inning, and then this one. You see he's trying to round it. He gets everything perfect. He gets on the short hop, gets off the correct foot. Just couldn't get the transfer from glove to hand in time to make a strong enough throw to get Addison Russell. See Joey Votto trying to stay on the base with no chance.
That has been scored, an infield hit for Russell. So a runner at first with one out. Back to the top of the order for Dexter Fowler.
So, real quick, we took the glove, went back to Houston, we had a home and home. They came to our place. He found out. We put it in his locker, and it was not usable anymore. He came into the game that night in the old Astrodome, yelling at our bench from the bullpen to the mound. Didn't throw a pitch under 99, struck out the side on like 5 pitches, and we were like, okay, that won't happen again.
You see all the trouble you caused?
Yeah, Al Osuna did it. Al, if you're out there, it was your fault, and you know it. But we're trying to get the game going again, and Dibble's standing on the mound with no glove. Look at her. And the umpire's like, come on, guys, really? That was the highlight of that season for the 91 Astros.
Fowler, a couple of fly balls to right field tonight.
I didn't understand why pitchers, when you're out on the field, you're involved in every single pitch, of course.
Right.
You're hot, you're sweaty. Then you get the hit, you get a base hit. Why do you need that big parka?
Well, a couple things. I was the closer at the time, and I just come in the game. It was Cincinnati. It was April. It was cold. It was real cold. But usually, generally, pitchers are the warmest guys on the field.
That's what I would think.
Well,
why do you need a parka?
It looked cool. I thought. And again, it wasn't going to slow me down.
No.
It was going to make me go from dreadfully slow
if it
to
was windy and blowing toward first base, it probably would stop you from getting the second. Put the shootout.
Nothing was going to stop me from getting the second, Cookie.
Well, if Eric Davis passed you from center field.
Yeah, he beat me actually the second.
1-2. In the air, shallow left. Negron makes the catch, 2 down.
Look at this. Let's put a clock on this.
Okay.
5, 6. See, here's the thing, too, with the zipper and the batting glove. Look, I don't use my left hand, so what do I do with it? I can't get it in the jacket.
Look, somebody's helping you.
Al Morris is trying to help.
No, it's your coach.
Ed Ott. Yeah, Otter will help you out.
I'll add to the fact Ed Ott was on the bottom of that pile with Rob Dibble in a chokehold.
Let me tell you something. Ed Ott was a
mean bear.
And powerful.
Yes.
I mean, like.
I just remember seeing Dibble's gum on the end of his tongue, and he couldn't do anything about it.
Here's Rizzo. No score, bottom of the 5th. 4 hits for the Cubs, 2 hits for the Reds. Third time through the order now for DeSclafani. Shift on for Rizzo. He will push one the other way every now and again.
It's the pitch. You got to stay right there.
Yeah, really good hitters with the one hole they may have. You make them prove that they can get to the pitch before you adjust. But you think you have to be tricky when you're a young pitcher and you're facing a good hitter.
Hit hard to right field. Bruce with a diving catch. What a play by Jay Bruce in deep right field, taking an extra base hit and probably an RBI away from Anthony Rizzo. Another look going to break. Full extension by Bruce. And DeSclafani and the Reds get out of it after that sensational catch. No score between the Reds and the Cubs. Billy Hamilton in the 9 spot, then Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto coming up for Cincinnati against John Lester. They are in very tight on the corners again, as they were the first time up when Hamilton hit one hard through the left side for a base hit, then stole second and third. Stranded there.
Castro and Addison Russell both are pulled in also.
You know, I had a lot of chances to talk to really good hitters, and I tried to take advantage of that. Manny Ramirez being one of them. As a pitcher, the thing I would say to Billy Hamilton is, if you can start making contact, you change my... I'm not worried about starting out 1-0. I know you're going to swing. If walk isn't one of your weapons, then you're not using the weapon you have, which is speed. Still hasn't tried to bunt. That's just mind-boggling.
Two. And another hit for Hamilton. And he'll be thinking 2, and he will be in there standing up. A single and a double for Hamilton tonight. He's a guy, if he could just turn that 260 on base percentage into about 320 or 330, what a weapon he could be.
I mean, if his on base percentage is 335, he is a nightmare.
But look at the swing. I mean, he's staying right on this ball. It's a nice level swing. There's no uppercut to it. That's conducive to hitting the middle or top of the ball to get it to go on the ground.
On the ground,
but even with 2 strikes, Chris Bryant was playing up in the grass, and he hit it by him. If he's back like a normal third baseman would with 2 strikes with a normal runner, that's an out.
Now this is where, you know, we were talking about earlier when Billy was on base. You don't bunt. Absolutely do not bunt right here, because you can take third on your own.
He stole it last time, stole second and third. Time is called. And for those who weren't with us or again are familiar with the story, not to belabor the point, but Lester does not like throwing to bases at all, and opposing base runners, at first it's most noticeable, but everywhere they're taking giant leads against him.
Well, you remember opening day, they had the ball hitting the guy in second for the Cardinals. I forget who the runner was.
Jason Hayward.
Third, and he didn't even make an attempt to throw to third.
And look at the size of that lead considering where Russell is. But Russell's kind of holding him on out there at second base, and Hamilton's still about 20-25 feet off the bat.
One of the challenges is you put an enormous amount of pressure on your defense right here, because you don't have to give away an out if you're the Reds to get that runner to third base. It's not that he doesn't like to throw. He hasn't proven he can. And that, to me, that's a game changer. This is where that can beat you.
Showing bunt is Phillips. The pitch blocked by Ross. A ball and a strike.
Well, guys, Hamilton seems to be a particular problem for Lester. Lester's allowed 17 steals this year. That's the second most in the majors. And of those, Billy Hamilton has 5.
Well, that last pitch right there, it looked like Billy Hamilton wanted to go. He got a little bit bigger lead, bouncing on his feet, trying to time John Lester. And John Lester, which you rarely see, a guy in second, he went to the slide step with the runner on second. And that's why Billy Hamilton had to hold. I think this is one of these situations right here where
I'm saying he goes right here.
Yeah, I think he's going too. And that's great, but it does not.
Nope. But that's exactly what the base runner is trying to get you to do. Trying to get you to do something, focus on something other than the guy at the plate.
Huge lead.
Ridiculously
huge lead.
He's not going to throw it. That's the other piece. From a leadoff perspective, you can get as big as you want. He's not going to throw it.
I'm telling you, get that big a lead, you might want to throw it to third first. As big a lead as he's getting. I mean, that's unbelievable that no throw will be made here, and he's getting bigger lead now.
There he goes. Ross's throw, not in time. Third steal of the night for Hamilton, and that's going to force the infield in now for the Cubs.
Yeah, and that's Billy Hamilton, what he can do. And you know, he got a big lead, not a great jump, but you can see right there, easily safe at third base. Hand hits.
That's going to have to get fixed. That whole thing is going to have to get fixed, because in October that will not play.
It's not like it's a new issue.
Nope. But again, it goes. The power of the mind is an incredibly scary thing.
There's a foul ball hit by Phillips, forcing Hamilton to dive down to the dirt. Here are the only 2 pickoff throws John Lester has made in the last, since really April of 2014. There's the first one. This was against Cincinnati in April. There's the second one.
And Dan, you play catch every single day of your career from 50 or 60 feet. So it's not like you can't make the throw. It's when you put that whole. We saw him in the bullpen working on that as well.
By the way, the Cubs leaving the middle infielders back here. They'll concede a run on a ground ball up the middle. And Phillips looks like, Crucky, he's just in make contact mode just to try to bring that run.
Yeah, and this is one of those, okay, don't hit it to the pitcher, to the third baseman or first baseman, and I'm going to drive in a run. And now it looks like Chris Bryant's looking in the dugout, and they're actually moving him back. I guess they don't feel like one run's going to be that big an issue for them to score.
Reds hitting a major league worst 207 as a team with runners in scoring position this year. Popped up. It's dropping and in there for a base hit. Hamilton had to wait, but will still slide in ahead of the throw on an RBI single by Phillips that gives the Reds a 1-0 lead.
Well, Dan, you said it. All he was trying to do was put the ball in play, make contact, and you see the cutter by John Lester right here gets in on Brandon Phillips. He gets jammed, but strong enough to get it to where he needs to hit the grass. And Billy Hamilton was staying close, and he goes back to tag, and most guys that's probably a close play at home plate, but with his speed, he can do things that others can't.
Well, that whole inning was set up. It's fundamentals. There's no rocket science. They made a good pitch. He jammed him, but the fact of the matter is you have to be able to hold base runners. You have to be able to help your defense as a pitcher, and that's something. I think a lot of people are probably amazed at the fact that he went through Boston and nobody knew about that when he was in Boston, which is saying something considering the coverage.
Brandon Phillips can run, but he has the groin issue. You wonder if he is going to take off. He has an unbelievably large lead over there, but you wonder with just coming off the injury, you wonder if he will attempt to steal. But
now, are you taking a large lead because you're taking a one-way lead?
Well, you're taking a large lead and hope he throws over. But he has no designs to steal in the base. No. He's standing upright, but
that lead gives him a chance to do something with the ground ball double play.
A ground ball in the hole with Starlin Castro has to go to his right. He could possibly beat it out to second, or vice versa if Addison Russell has to go to his left for a ball.
Rizzo's 4 or 5 feet off the bat.
Like a normal good lead would be your front foot
to the cut.
Where
that thing,
And the thing is, you watch Brandon Phillips, he's getting a walking lead.
This right here,
and he goes past the cut. Look at him, he's past the cut.
That's a great lead when your front foot's right here.
Yeah, yes.
Now this meeting right here is to get the game speeding up a little bit, right? It's 1-0. There's a base runner on. Everybody now is aware of what's going on. So just take a breath, execute your pitches. He's a strikeout pitcher, so you get this runner to second base out, then you go for a punch out or do the things you got to do. But you got to get him to take a breath right now.
And Chris Bosio might be telling John Lester, look, he's just coming off his groin injury. He's not going to run. And I think even if he was going to run, you still have to tell John Lester he's not running. Don't worry about it.
But that's something John Lester should know before the game, right? I mean, that's one of those preparation things. If this guy's not going to run, his groin's just coming back, all those things. Those are the things you take to the mound with.
Well, they know it because Brandon Phillips first at bat, he hit a ball to deep shortstop, and you saw Starlin Castro make a play, take his time because he knew Phillips couldn't run good.
Votto drives the ball deep left center field, and it's going to be into the ivy on a bounce. Phillips is on his way to third. He is getting the wave. Here comes the throw to the plate. Not in time. He slides in safely on a double by Votto, and the Reds lead 2-0.
Out to challenge this call. That's close. That's really close. You don't know. Does he touch home right there, or is his hand still off?
If his hand hit the plate as soon as it hit the ground, then he's safe. Yeah. And the way that Frazier and Phillips reacted made you think they both legitimately believed that he was safe.
Yeah, Jim Riggleman, the third base coach.
On the plate there?
Yeah, I don't think he is right there.
I don't think he is.
They might have him.
Yeah. But again, there's got to be clear and convincing evidence that he was out to overturn the call.
Oh, they got him.
I think they might have.
They got him. And that's the thing. Jim Riggleman was holding him, but he held him late. And I think Brandon Phillips, once he had the momentum going, he just thought, you know what, let's get it going. But I think they got him. I think he's tagged right there, and it looks like the index finger's not touching the base yet, or home plate.
Oh, if the glove's on his arm there, he's out.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. When did he tag him? It's hard to tell right there.
Well, this could be a while. They had a 3-minute and 55-second review in the game last night.
The process has got to be tightened up, and I'm sure that there will be things this year that will change going into next year.
But the thing is, you keep going back to this play, you know, with no outs, and you got Lester on the ropes, and you got Todd Frazier and Jay Bruce coming up with no outs.
And this is where Lester's inability to throw over probably
made it a play.
Now they're going to call him out. If Phillips has a normal lead, he probably never gets the wave, and it's second and third for the Reds. And they overturn it.
Well, take a look. We talked about the big lead he's got. He's got a big lead. Not much of a secondary, though. But he did get a good read off the bat of Votto. He understood that Conklin wasn't going to catch it. Watch Jim Riggleman. He's waving. Now he got a little late stop on him, but Phillips couldn't see it because he was already close to being by him. And by that time, he was already committed to go home, and he went. But you know, that's one of those plays there. You got to understand what's coming up behind you.
There's a great look right there.
Yeah, you got a great look right there. Yes, he's out, but you got Todd Frazier coming up. You got second and third. John Lester on the ropes.
So it remains 1-0. One out now. Votto's at second, and Frazier steps in 0 for 2.
He looks, even in his bad foul balls, he looks so comfortable at the plate right now.
The defending champion of the home run derby. You got to believe he's going to be in it again because the All-Star game is in Cincinnati this year. Votto's going to tag, and he'll advance to third with 2 down.
Well, that's another run right there. You keep Phillips at third base, but watch it cut off. Coughlin, that's when Jim Riggleman says, okay, got past him, I'm going to go. But Starlin Castro makes a great catch, a quick transfer, and a really strong throw to David Ross, and that was the only reason why they got Brandon Phillips right there. It was just, you know, once Coughlin got the ball, he made a perfect relay to Castro. Castro with a perfect throw to Ross. Everything was set up perfectly by their defense on that play.
And it's funny, Joe Madden was talking to us about the defense before the game today, and he said he loves the outfield defense. The cutoffs and relays have been great. What's hurt them has been the routine play on the infield, whether it's Russell, Castro, or Bryant. Fly ball right center. Baxter there, inning over. The Reds get 1, but that's it. Lester steamed. Number 3 hitter Chris Bryant leading off the bottom of the 6th for the Cubs. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. To the bottom of the 6th at Wrigley, the Cubs trail 1-0. Across the street, across Sheffield, beyond the right field fence into Wrigley, all lit up here at night as the Cubs try to make it 3 out of 4 over the Reds, down to 1-0 right now. Chris Bryant will lead it off. Doubled in the first to extend his hitting streak to 11. A grounded out in the third. They'll be followed by Chris Coughlin and Starlin Castro. One of the top rookies in baseball, and his rookie card has just come out. Topps has released Chris Bryant's rookie card. Looks just like him.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Well, made us think as we go back in time.
Oh, come on.
Why do you guys always think it's about you? How do you know it couldn't be about somebody else?
I know you don't have one.
Yeah.
Who else is it going to be?
Hey, after what you guys did to me a few weeks ago.
What did we do?
I didn't do it. That would be someone else.
A swing and a miss. And Bryant is out. All right, let's see what we got.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow. Shill, that's awesome.
Oh, that's just atrocious.
So what year is that, Shill?
1989.
And what year is that, Crucky?
86.
86.
You had some guns, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing what you do when you press them up against your body.
Do you guys have any of those at home? Do you have old cards of yourself?
No, especially not that one.
Nothing?
No.
Wow.
I was so, when I saw that, first I was like, oh my God, I have a baseball card, and oh my goodness, that's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Because I had a mustache, and you can't really see it.
Yeah.
And when I saw the card,
You had a mustache in that picture?
Yeah. No,
Arch, we need to see it again.
It's hard to find.
He had the whole thing working, though,
well,
this guy.
Come on.
The Bosworth hair.
Idiot.
Hey, man, the 80s.
I was an idiot.
But the 80s were a lot. We all need a bit of a mulligan through the 80s, right?
Look,
where's that mustache?
It's somewhere in this area right there. And it's red and blonde. It was multicolored.
But look at the look on your face. You've been in the big leagues an hour. Look at the look on your face right there.
And I had an earring, and I was,
He was Bosworth.
I was an idiot. Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, we made the trade for him. None of us remember facing him when he was with Houston.
Yeah.
And he walked in the clubhouse, and we're like, oh, who's this freak? What are we doing?
Hey, and if somebody could walk into the Phillies clubhouse and stand out, we're saying something.
Well, I looked around and I was like, who are these freaks?
Yeah.
You must have been scared.
Oh, terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified. Because they were veterans and they weren't real nice to young guys.
Did this guy welcome you?
No. Destroyed me. The whole group.
Not until after Johnny Padres told me we got a great starting pitcher.
Coughlin lines the ball foul. Just foul is the call, and Coughlin's already looking into the dugout saying, let's have a look at that one.
I mean, it has to hit the wall if it's foul. There's no room down there.
That looked fair.
It looked like it hit the edge of the line and kicked dead right on him.
Oh, that's
got some chalk.
Yeah.
Now, the Cubs still have their challenge because the one they did went in their favor.
He's challenging.
Yep. And they're going to have a look. This is another one that's going to be awfully close. Did it kick up some chalk?
Well, I think it's. That looks like it's hitting some part of that white line.
It just needs to touch a rock. Gonna have to need it. Hopefully the center field camera, somebody got a little closer. And if I remember right, that's not chalk. It's paint, which will change kicking up.
I mean, you saw Jay Bruce, so he didn't hesitate.
Right. He was playing it like it was fair.
Yeah. Fair.
Again, going back to the definition, is there clear and convincing evidence to overturn the call?
I think there is.
I got to wonder how the umpires are feeling about this, in the sense that when you looked at the data early in the year, they were wrong. Overturned almost 50% of the time last year.
There you go. That's fair.
That's on some chalk.
Yep, that's fair.
You know, it's got to be disconcerting for the umpires. You watch them during the replay when they show a camera. They're looking at the scoreboard.
Oh yeah.
The fans are seeing it.
They used to not be able to do that.
Yeah, I know. Some of those guys used to get livid
because they were wrong all the time.
And the Cubs are 2 for 2. And I'm guessing that little conversation they had when they took the headsets off just was about placement of the runner. They just agreed, and then it's the proper call just to put him at second base. But that's one of the gray areas if you overturn a play like that. I mean, if that ball had bounced crazily past Bruce, they could have said to Coughlin, you get third base.
Yeah.
So here's Castro. He's 2 for 2 tonight after driving in the game-winning run in the 9th inning last night. Foul ball. Fill out your 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot now at MLB.com/vote on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at MLB.com/vote. Well, Rizzo should be there.
I don't know that you need a campaign for him to get votes. You better not.
Yeah.
I think you're talking, that kid's a legit MVP candidate right now.
He's in the top 5 in the National League in on base percentage, slugging. Big swing and a miss, 0-2.
Have to take a look. I wonder if anybody's ever had the MVP and the Rookie of the Year in 2 different players, position players. If you think,
because they got a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Bryant certainly will be in the running for Rookie of the Year. In the air to left. 2 down.
Guys, I'm not going to argue with you about whether or not Rizzo should be there. He should be there. But I tell you what, you talk about a loaded position, National League first base, Paul Goldschmidt, MVP candidate for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Adrian Gonzalez of the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman, Joey Votto. That position is absolutely stacked.
Yep.
It's amazing how cyclical that is, too. Think about Palmeiro and all those guys in the 80s and 90s, Grace and
McGuire.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to throw Adrian Gonzalez in the MVP race, too, don't we?
Yep. There's Baxter.
All he does is get on base, hit 300, driving 100 runs.
He drove in, he had a 2-run single in the 12th inning, I believe it was today in San Diego. Dodgers beat the Padres 4-2.
So he's still leading the league in RBIs.
He can drive in some runs.
I love watching him hit, too.
That whole Boston thing was mystifying.
You know, it just...
Some guys can't play in that market.
I know. I thought he would hit 30 homers, 28 of them over the left field wall, but 150 doubles.
Well, given how low-key he was, I thought that would kind of be water off a duck's back. And it turned out to be the opposite. I mean, he got caught up in a lot of that stuff. And, you know, once they know they're getting at you and you're not performing, they're relentless.
Well, Giancarlo Stanton leads the league in home runs and RBIs, 23 and 59 entering play today. Gonzalez has some big numbers. You got to mention Bryce Harper as an MVP candidate. The kind of season he's having.
I just think that the word valuable changes that a word. I think in this sport, value is winning. You know, Andre Dawson won it when the Cubs finished in last, but I just think the value piece of that is
Rizzo has a much better case if the Cubs make the play.
Right.
And Goldschmidt might lose.
He's having a great year
because of that. He's having an unbelievable year.
Yep, 355, 17 homers, 50 RBIs entering play today.
That's pretty good.
That's all right.
Guys, Goldschmidt is on a pace to get on base about 330 times this season.
He'll get tired before all that.
Yeah. Wasn't that how many times Bonds' intentional walk that one year?
Arizona won again today. They beat the Giants again today.
He's a special player, too, and he's one of those guys that I don't know universally is recognized for being as good as he is. That'll change at some point.
And DeSclafani with strikeout number 5, including Baxter for the 3rd time. He has thrown 6 shutout innings. Well, tomorrow night, the Chicago Blackhawks have a chance to win the Stanley Cup on home ice. It'll be Game 6 at the United Center. A chance for the Blackhawks to win the Cup. I think it's for the 3rd time in 6 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. And in the house are some of the members of the Tampa Bay Lightning coaching staff. On the right, that's head coach John Cooper. On the left, maybe pulling in some old connections from his days as a player on the Blackhawks, is Steve Thomas. So they're here. They got some good seats there, right to the inside of the Cubs dugout, and they're hoping to extend the series to a 7th and deciding game.
I wonder if there's any Joe Madden connection there to Tampa.
Well, you think they'd be on the other side?
Dan's kind of fired up. You're kind of fired up for tonight.
They're on the Cubs side.
They're on the Cubs side. Joe Madden.
Oh, Joe Madden. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. Yes.
He manages, I think.
Yeah.
He was in Tampa for a little
You're
while.
right. You're right.
Well, Barry Melrose told me I'm all about the Blackhawks once the Bruins were out. But yeah, so you know what I found with coaches like this? Bill Belichick and Terry Francona had a really close relationship. Like, those guys tend to pick each other's brains about managing players.
And similar personalities.
Oh yeah.
Belichick
Terry was quiet, reserved, like Bill.
Well, the Fighting Franconas will be here tomorrow night.
Yeah, they will.
Indians are in town, right?
Pretty good chance you'll get a couple cell phone messages.
They are priceless.
Yes, they are. Unrepeatable and priceless.
There's Brian Pena leading off the 7th for the Reds, who are up 1-0. Live K-Zone brought to you all night long by AutoZone. I know, Crucky, that you're not really a hockey guy, but there was a stretch in the 2nd period of last night's game. They went better than 8 minutes without a whistle. That's something else. That's high-level hockey.
That's exciting.
Show, you want to take sides in this one? Want to back me up?
What's that?
8 minutes without a whistle in the hockey game.
There's nothing like watching playoff hockey. I grew up in Phoenix, so I didn't even know what a rink was. I became a fan in Philadelphia. There's nothing like playoff hockey. The intensity, I used to, when I first started watching, I was like, wow, why are they only skating for 45 seconds? They're a bunch of pansies. And then all of a sudden you realize that there's not just skating. They're beating the heck out of each other at 240.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like watching playoff hockey.
I couldn't find a rink in West Virginia, else I'd have played.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to an NHL game?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I actually
Flyers?
I actually rode to Zamboni one day during a playoff game.
Of course you did.
Yes. Yeah. Totally see that.
Well, no,
Yeah.
Jeremy Roenick was over at the house, and he said, "Why don't you come to the game?" So I went to the game, and then some guy comes and gets me between the first and second period. I said, "Where are we going?" He goes, "Come on, you got to go down here." And I went down, and next thing you know, I'm hoisted up on this Zamboni.
Awesome.
I fell in love with the game. Mark Recchi.
Ruts in the ice, but
Right, so Lindros a Flyer when you guys are Phillies?
Yeah,
Oh,
Lindros, Recchi. He almost beat up our video guy.
Yeah.
Lindros?
Yeah, because the video guy called him a Toronto fan. And he's like, it was almost a death.
But he came in there. Lindros had he had a T-shirt with a tie on. and you know, our video guys videotaping everyone celebrating after we just got done beating the Braves, and you know, Lindros goes, "Yeah, go Phillies," and our video guy goes, "Oh, who you kidding? You're from Canada. You're a Toronto fan." And he snapped.
Yeah, he did. It was awesome.
At the table after him. Yeah, it was great.
But the you know, Recchi and Lindros and Brindamore, and then I go to Boston and the Bruins. Then my kids have no idea about the Boston history. They've seen a Celtics World Series championship, Red Sox, Patriots, Bruins.
Ryan Matthews up on the Reds pen. Even a Ducks fan. Is that a Ducks fan? Is that an actual Anaheim Ducks shirt? Could just be a generic Ducks shirt. Three and two the count on Eugenio Suarez, whose first major league hit was last year, and it was a home run, and it came off of John Lester. That was when Suarez was a member of the Tigers. Baxter there for the out, 2 down. Time now for our high-strength performance brought to you by Chevy Silverado. Let's look at the Cincinnati Reds right fielder, Jay Bruce. This is Friday night, racing into the alley in right center field. In the 9th inning, making a sprawling catch. And if that one was good, Crucky, this one might have been better.
Now, this one's taken away from him from the left-hand hitter, Rizzo. Yeah, that's a do or die. If you make the play, great. If you don't, you're losing 1-0.
Grown back to the mound. Underhanded by Lester to end the inning. 7th inning stretch coming at Wrigley. 1-0 Reds. Welcome back to Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell. Back in Chicago, Dan Schulman, John Kruk, Kurt Schilling, Buster Olney. And boys, maybe some weather coming. And we've dodged it so far, but it might be coming soon. John Lester pitching well, but on the wrong end of a 1-0 game right now, heading to the bottom of the 7th because of the work of Anthony DeSclafani, trying to win his 4th consecutive start. With Matt Latos traded in the offseason, Alfredo Simon traded, Homer Bailey on the DL. Spots have opened up in the Reds rotation. And some young pitchers.
Miguel Montero in the on-deck circle. Could be into John Lester's night.
Hector Rondon up in the pen. The Cubs right now don't have just one closer. Rondon was the guy, but he's blown 3 saves this year. And Joe Maddon's playing matchups in hot hand and who's rested. One and 2. Ross has popped up and struck out. Montero in the on-deck circle for Lester, and then Russell. Lined foul down towards the Cubs pen. Nice stop.
That's how good they are. I mean, you got a guy down there supposed to be protected, the catcher. Right. He whiffs on it and he gets him right in the. That should be the Webb Gem of the year. He didn't even look. You got to wonder what's the guy doing standing out there? He's the one supposed to catch those. See, he's too close to him. First of all, he needs to be about 5 feet, 6 feet forward. And then, of course, he's probably afraid that if he moves any closer, he's going to get hit.
This one is fair. Past Frazier. And Ross is safe at second.
That's another bullet down the line. It just took that hop over Frazier's glove. No chance to get in front of it, but if that ball stays down, he makes a play. And then you see Negron right there trying to slide because how close that foul territory is to the fence, or fair territory to the wall down there, and he made a pretty good throw, but no chance of getting David Ross. And Brandon Phillips tried to get a little body momentum to knock Ross off the base. It didn't quite get it, but yeah, that's a ball that just bounced. Todd Frazier had no chance at that one.
And now Joe Maddon, instead of sending up Montero, Jonathan Herrera has been announced into the game in Lester's spot, and this is obviously because they're looking for a bunt here.
Yeah, there's no question about it. You got a bunt. You wonder if Brian Price will go to his lefty in the bullpen.
Herrera, a switch hitter, hitting .228 on the season, does have 1 sacrifice this year. And he gets it down. Well done by Herrera. So now with a tying run at third and 1 out of the bottom of the 7th, it'll be Addison Russell 1 for 2 to face DeSclafani.
And this is an interesting decision for Joe Madden. Is, you know, David Ross not the quickest of runners, and you see the infield, the middle infield especially, are halfway. They had a hard hit ball. They still have a chance of getting David Ross out at third or out at home.
And guys, we've seen more and more teams do this with a runner at third base, infield in situations. The Cardinals do with Matt Carpenter anchoring third base. By the way, David Ross doesn't look comfortable. He's been stretching out since he went into second base.
You wonder if this is a thing where Joe Madden's going to keep David Ross in the game. Potentially, if they tie the game, Aroldis Chapman comes in. You don't want Montero to have to hit off him.
They've only got 2 other bench players right now. The Cubs made a move before the game today. They sent Junior Lake down to the minors and called up another reliever, Brian Schlitter. Their bullpen has thrown 15 innings over the last 3 days. So they've actually got a 9th reliever, only 3 bench players. Herrera was just used. That leaves Montero, the other catcher, and Chris Denorfia. That's it. Although if they wanted to, I mean, they could run Denorfia. They could run somebody like Travis Wood, who's a very good athlete, a pitcher, although he's a reliever now. He's not a starter anymore, so that changes that. But for the moment, thin bench, and Ross stays at third. 2-2 the count.
Last 2 pitches elevated to Addison Russell. He swung through them both. You have to stay up there. 2-2. Throw one more up there and see if he'll chase it.
Well, you need a punch out. Whenever your pitch, swing and miss pitch is, this is when you use it.
110 pitches and counting for DeSclafani. Still throwing hard. 96, but he misses inside.
Right here, you can use the aggressiveness of youth right here, and you throw a pitch up just above the strike zone, you might get a chase from Addison Russell. You have to get it up there and trust that he'll swing at it. Too far up.
Well, you're talking, you know, end of the night, you send him out there. I think he knew it was his last hitter, and what you end up having is as good a fastball as he's throwing all night, 94, 94. He gets to a situation where he gets away with one, tries to get a swing and miss, can't get it on that one. And he overthrows that last pitch. You saw the finish. He battled tonight, battled hard.
And DeSclafani out of the game. Ryan Price wants the right-hander. Ryan Matthews coming on for Cincinnati in a tough situation here in the 7th. It's time to vote for your All-Stars with the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot for the 2015 All-Star Game. Vote at MLB.com/vote. Catch all of the excitement of the 86th MLB All-Star Game on the 14th of July. So here's the situation. The Cubs are down 1-0 in the bottom of the 7th. They've got runners at first and third with one out on the top of the order coming up. Next to Fowler, the batter now, Anthony Rizzo on deck. And the new pitcher is Ryan Matthews, who began the year with the Angels, was designated for assignment in early May, claimed off waivers by the Cubs, by the Reds rather, and made his first couple of appearances with Cincinnati in mid-May. Comes on here in a difficult situation. Ross at third, Russell at first, just one out.
A double threat for Dexter Fowler. He's a guy who can run. It's going to be tough to double up. In his first 3 at-bats, he had fly balls to the outfield. So.
And he takes a strike. Fowler is a switch hitter. Much weaker numbers from this side of the plate, which is why Brian Price goes to the righty instead of the lefty.
Crunky, to your point, Fowler this season, 269 plate appearances, has hit into 1 double play.
And I would venture to guess that was from the right side.
Out of play, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, I think as much as you'd like a double play, you're not expecting. You're looking for a punch out. You need a pop up or a swing and a miss.
I watch Matthews warm up. He's just fastball split, and watched him bounce a couple of the splits during warm up. So that could be a 0-2 if he wants to strike. That could be the pitch he goes to.
Fowler's just a 135 hitter, 5 for 37 this year with the runners in scoring position. Stays alive. With John Lester out of the game, he goes 7 innings tonight. Gives up a run on 5 hits. He left for the pinch hitter Herrera, who got the bunt down. Is set. And the 1-2 inside, ball 2.
You can have that job.
Former pitching coach, now manager. You know, with the team having as many injuries as they've had too, I mean, they're just scratching and clawing for every win they could find. You can make a case that things could be a lot worse than 5 games under 500 given all the injuries they've had.
Yeah, you miss one of your top starting pitchers, your all-star catcher.
Right field, well struck. Caught deep in the corner by Bruce, but tagging and scoring to tie the game is David Ross.
Dexter Fowler had 3 fly balls to the outfield his first 3 at bats. Well, Brian
Price back to the mound. He wants the left-hander with Rizzo coming up. Manny Parra will be coming into the game. The Cubs have tied it. Dexter Fowler getting the ball in the air for a sacrifice fly. And as they bat in the bottom of the 7th, it is now 1-1. Lester smiles for the first time tonight. The Cubs have tied the game. A 1-1 tie here in the bottom of the 7th, and Anthony Rizzo will come up. He is 0 for 3 tonight. All 3 fly ball outs, just 1 for 15 in the 4-game series. But I mean, he's hit the ball pretty hard.
He's hit the ball hard 3 times. That's a line drive. Negron makes a great play. Then another pitch down and away. His 2-strike approach, and he just missed it from going out. And then this one right here, we thought this was going to tie the game up. I put the Cubs up 1-0, and Jay Bruce comes in and robs him with an unbelievable play. Very easily could be 2 for 3 in this game.
Brian Price goes to the lefty. Rizzo has done an incredible job against left-handed pitching this year. And Parra is into the game for Cincinnati. Check out the numbers for Rizzo batting against left-handers over the last 3 years. Under 200, then right at 300, and now over 400 so far this year. Only Jose Iglesias and Brandon Crawford, another left-handed batter, ahead of him batting against lefties.
I forgot about Brandon Crawford. He could be in the MVP talk if the Giants stay in this thing.
Good numbers for Manny Parra, who spent some time on the DL with a strained neck and has retired all 18 batters he has faced since coming off the DL.
That's the pitch right there.
There's that spot. Righty or lefty, I don't think it matters. That's the spot.
Yeah, I think lefty, though, it's a little different because you kind of wait a little bit longer. And not many lefties pitch inside the lefties. It doesn't seem like. Here's when he goes to his 2-strike approach. He chokes up. Short little stride. Try to put it in play.
Got a piece.
You know, it's amazing. We hear people say, oh, you know, 2-strike approach. Well, if I strike out, I strike out. But yeah, Anthony Rizzo's finally figured out when you watch his approach here with 2 strikes. See how much he's choking up. That the value of putting balls in play. And you watch his little stride he takes. So he's up on the bat a couple inches. The open stance, but all he does is step before Parra starts to deliver and wait for it. I guarantee if he had the leg kick, he'd have swung and missed right there. Because that ball's a strike all the way.
It's amazing how many kids don't want to choke up on the bat, even though you see major leaguers doing it. Power hitters.
Good ones.
I always tell kids, you know, if you're going to choke up with 2 strikes, you got to practice it.
It's not, and it's not about the bat size, it's bat speed. Bat speed hits home runs.
Ooh, he might have been going. Russell has to dive back in.
You know, a hitter who's really passionate about that, about changing his swing with 2 strikes, is actually Joey Votto. Guys, he referred to it as pulling the parachutes. Once he gets to 2 strikes, you'll see him choke up and cut down on his stride, just trying to put the ball in play.
Rizzo calls it the B hack. Got the A-hack and the B-hack. Now they got him picked off, but he got back. Somehow Russell gets back.
Well, this is a situation. Joey Votto's looking in with the, we'll see. Yep. But, Brian Price is looking back to see if they're doing. But Addison Russell, here's the situation. The pitcher's leading off the next inning for the Reds, which will be Manny Parra. If Addison Russell steals or gets thrown out, they're going to pinch hit for Manny Parra. And Rizzo's probably going to hit off of either Aroldis Chapman or a righty.
Is he out if Votto stays at the bag right there? Because you saw Votto kind of back up. It looks like he almost got picked off. And if you watch, he feels like he has the ball long.
I think he thought Addison Russell was going. You see, watch Russell takes that step. You hear that as a first baseman, and you're geared to throw. But he does have to catch and come a long way back to make that tag. Fans love it. Huh?
2 outs, too.
Guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but all of a sudden in the last little bit, a whole bunch of bugs are suddenly flying around the infield. That's what Rizzo's reacting to.
The lead by Russell. A full count, and now Russell will get, or did it hit him?
Yeah.
It hit him. Rizzo is hit for the 15th time this season. He really crowds the plate. And now Brian Price may come out and say, where exactly did that get him?
If anything, it nicks his pants. Wow. Got that pinstripe, the thread hanging out.
This is reviewable.
I tell you, that's a tough one. I don't know how you're going to overturn that.
Price is looking into the dugout, waiting to hear if his video guy thinks they should review it. And they're going to let it. No, they're going to take a look at it. Our third review of the game. Let's take another look.
I don't see it.
I don't see it either. And Rizzo wasn't really selling it like it hit him.
He kind of reluctantly.
But is this the kind of one, even though it just may have hit the uniform, may have hit the pant leg of Rizzo, is this where the umpire hears it rather than sees it?
I think everybody heard it. Sounded different, but usually you see part of the uniform pull away.
All right, let's give a listen now.
You got a double sound there.
Again, can you overturn it?
And guys, if you look at that replay from the third base side again, you can actually see a slight ripple in the uniform as the ball passes him.
Might have been centrifugal force.
Wow.
Nice.
We have a winner.
That was
just happened to come in June.
Yeah. I don't know how you overturn it. The call on the field is hit by pitch.
Yeah.
Is there enough there to overturn it? I don't think so.
I hope they don't have to look at it as many times as we did to figure it out. We're going to be here a while.
You guys don't see the ripple right there above the knee?
We must have a different angle, Buster.
How important is it in your guys' minds that they got to do this fast? Not this one.
Well, I mean,
the call, getting the call.
They're going to give
looks like they're sending him back.
They are sending him back. Wow. Wow. So they overturn it. So the Reds retain their challenge. 3 challenges tonight. All 3 calls have been overturned. And so Rizzo back to the plate with a full count on him. And again, Russell will get a running start. Buster, no ripple.
I'm hearing a ton on Twitter. People are backing me up, guys.
What are they saying about Prucky's use of centrifugal force?
That's the only thing getting more comments.
So Rizzo gets an opportunity here and strikes out. He didn't like it. 1-1 and a 7. Tweets by using hashtag #RepMyTeam. Every Sunday, be sure to send it a picture on how you support your team, and your tweet could wind up on TV. Crowd of over 33,000 here at Wrigley Field tonight. We go to the 8th inning here on Sunday Night Baseball. The Reds and the Cubs are tied at 1. And the new pitcher for Chicago, right-hander Hector Rondon. Picked up a save on Thursday. Saddled with a loss on Friday. As we mentioned, no longer really the closer. They don't really have a true closer right now. Jason Mott has picked up a save. Justin Grimm has pitched very well. And the Cubs have signed Rafael Soriano, ex of the Nationals, and you go back a few years, ex of the Rays, where he had a great year, 45 saves when his manager was Joe Maddon. To right center field, Baxter back, tracks it down. And when Soriano gets to the Cubs remains unknown. Some speculation it might not be until after the All-Star break. And whether or not he becomes their closer still up in the air. But the guy on the right there, Jason Mott. Well, is that Mott there? Is that?
Yeah.
No, that's Schlitter on the right. There's Mott on the left.
That's right. Wait, twins.
Beards everywhere. Mott is throwing the ball well right now. Like 96.
Well, he's healthy.
Yeah.
He's healthy. And
yeah.
I think.
What's the deal with the hood? It's 90 degrees out here. Go ahead. Let's talk about Mott. He's great. We love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Really good guy.
Their bullpen's been really good lately.
And that was what everyone thought could be their weak point. A lot of question marks, but.
Billy Hamilton at the plate, batting left-handed for the first time tonight. As a righty, he went 2 for 2, a single, a double, and he has stolen 3 bases tonight. He's got 29 now on the season.
Golly, man, that's what's frustrating. You work a count to 2-0. You got speed to burn. You know you're going to steal a base, and you get a 2-0 pitch off the plate, and they give it a strike.
Well, that's what they ask you to do, right? I mean,
well, yeah, but then that one's a ball, and it's basically the same spot.
You can't let that force you out of the game. Your job is to get on, especially when you run like that. It's got to be tough.
Full count.
Full count, and that's the first strike he's seen to the K.
Take a look where Chris Bryant still is. He's still 6-7 feet up in the grass with 2 strikes.
Well, they had him positioned well, didn't they? Fowler barely had to move.
Well, Billy Hamilton, you got to give him credit. He was guys that got the run on the board for the Cincinnati Reds, stealing second base on John Lester, then stealing third without a throw. Then the 6th inning, Brandon Phillips up. He takes the pitch, gives Hamilton a chance to steal third. Then he scores on the bloop single to center field by Brandon Phillips on a play that he might have been the only guy that made that play not close. But so far, a really good night for Billy Hamilton.
Back to the top of the order now for Brandon Phillips. You just saw the RBI single he picked up in the 6th inning, the only Cincinnati run of the night. 2 for 7 with a home run in his career against Rondon.
I think he was fooled.
That was
what was that?
That wasn't even an emergency. He knows too.
That's not even a 2-strike emergency swing.
That's
it's 0-1.
Oh, I guess wrong.
Maybe he's working on going the other way.
0-2.
Tell you what, for a 1-1 game in the top of the 8th, there's a lot of fun going on out there, isn't there?
That's one word for it.
Upstairs 2-2 live K-Zone all game brought to you tonight by AutoZone. One tie. The Reds getting a run on the top of the 6th. The Cubs answering in the bottom of the 7th. To right field. And the inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning in a 1-1 tie. Chris Bryant will lead it off for the Cubs. Wrigley Field, Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. For those of you who watched the Golden State Warriors defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers over on ABC and take a 3-2 lead in the NBA Finals, we've got a 1-1 tie here at Wrigley between the Cincinnati Reds and the Chicago Cubs. That sac fly by Dexter Fowler scoring the tying run. John Lester pitched well. Anthony DeSclafani pitched well. Neither will be involved in the decision. The Cubs come up now in the bottom of the 8th with their 3, 4, and 5 hitters coming up looking to break the tie. New pitcher for the Reds, right-hander J.J. Hoover. Unscored upon in his last 9 appearances as he starts Chris Bryant with a curveball for a strike. It was a hanger, but it was a strike.
Well, first pitch, you're not looking for that when you're looking for the old number 1. And once that starts at you and breaks over the inside corner, you kind of give up on it.
0-2. 29th appearance of the season for Hoover. Of course, the closer for the Reds is Aroldis Chapman. Should they take a lead to the bottom of the 9th? Bryant tonight is 1 for 3, doubled in the first to extend his hitting streak to 11. Good pitch by Hoover, 1 down. So curveball, fastball, slider.
You rarely see relievers come out of 10 with 3 pitches. Kind of hanging curveball, and then he gets filthy. This is a great pitch. Starts in a great spot, finishes in a perfect spot.
That's a guy that, you got a guy coming out of the bullpen to a young player, and he shows you all 3 pitches in the arsenal with the first 3 pitches. It's a tough at bat for Chris Bryant.
Here's Chris Coghlan. 1 for 2. He doubled his last time up. He's also walked. Pulled foul. Cubs right now 33-27. They sit in 3rd place in the National League Central. The Reds are 4th, 28-33. Cubs are 7 out. Reds are 12.5 out. St. Louis leading. Good breaking ball, 1-2. Backhanded by Votto. Beats Hoover, covering, 2 down. Extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball, but on one night they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July the 14th on Fox. 2 down now for the guy who drove in the winning run last night for the Cubs, Starlin Castro. That was with an RBI single in the bottom of the 9th after a lengthy rain delay. Castro 3 for 10 in his career against Hoover. Two for 3 tonight. Ground ball to 3rd. Good job by Hoover. Cubs go 1, 2, 3. We will go to the 9th. It's going to be Jason Mott, and it's going to be Joey Votto, Todd Frazier, Jay Bruce coming up for the Reds in a 1-1 tie. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN is presented by Taco Bell's Grilled Stuffed Nacho, the first nachos designed not to be shared. Live Más. And in part by Cars.com. All drive, no drama. Well, maybe some drama here in the ninth inning at a 1-1 tie in the great city of Chicago. We're at Wrigley Field with the Reds and Cubs tied at 1. Jason Amott into the game for the Cubs, facing the 2-3-4 hitters for the Reds. Mott has been terrific for the Cubs this year. Tommy John a couple of years ago, the former Cardinal. As he faces Joey Votto. Mott has recorded 11 straight scoreless appearances covering 8 2/3 innings. The opponent's hitting just 103, 3 for 29 against him in his last 11 appearances, but this won't be easy with Votto, Frazier, and Bruce up for Cincinnati.
And this is not a real good matchup for him, given he's not a guy that commands the fastball very well, to a guy with a lot of patience. I don't think he takes it, but this is a green light situation for a guy like this.
Knee-high strike, 3-1.
Knee-high to a grasshopper. Pitches down.
Lower end of the knee.
Yeah. The hollow of the knee.
Yes.
Shin.
Yeah, it's called a ball.
3-2. Votto a ground out, a fly ball, and a double tonight. One of the key plays of the game. Brandon Phillips, after a review, the call overturned and he was ruled out. And that foul ball, I believe, hit first base umpire Ron Culpa.
I saw two words there. Smoked me.
That was a pitch from Aroldis Chapman in the bullpen that caught him.
Yeah, that gives a new definition to smoked.
Watch where this ball's coming from.
Oh, yeah, it is Chapman.
Oh,
wow. Never saw it coming.
Yeah. Pretty good chance that was 90-ish plus.
He just threw another one down the line.
Well, you got to feel real good about jumping in the box against him tonight.
Well, the good thing is the fans and the bullpen aren't really letting him have it.
This, of course, one of the few parks where the bullpens are still down the line. It's kind of in play.
Literally on the field.
Yeah.
You can draw dirt on the pitcher's mound with a foul or with a ball. They can still might call it fair. It's right there. I used to hate left field. Every time you hit a fly ball, you had to contend with the wind, the sun, and the pitcher's mound. You going to throw Chapman out? Is that what he's going down there for?
For those of you looking for Sports Center, it's currently airing over on ESPN2 with John Anderson and John Abuchagras. Of course, a look back at Game 5 of the NBA Finals. The Warriors defeating the Cavaliers. Max Scherzer threw a one-hit, 16-strikeout shutout today. And the Blue Jays remain baseball's hottest team as they win their 11th in a row.
That Scherzer game had a little Kerry Wood in it. The only hit was a jam shot, broken bat.
Well, Max Scherzer became just the 5th pitcher in the modern era to throw a shutout with no hits or one hit and at least 16 strikeouts. Kerry Wood is one of the others. Brandon Morrow, Curt Schilling, and Nolan Ryan, who did it 4 times. He did it as much. He's done it as much as every other pitcher in baseball history combined. Base hit for Votto. And the leadoff man is aboard in the 9th for the Reds.
Yeah, no one tends to ruin lists like that. Everybody does it once, and he does like no hitters.
We talk about a guy who's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes, and Jason Mott's just rearing back and let's see what we can do. Ball's tailing away. Good pitch it's a tough pitch to pull, especially pull in the air, but Votto gets out in front of it just enough to get it past Addison Russell for a leadoff single.
So now Todd Frazier. 0 for 3 tonight. A 1-1 tie. The leadoff man aboard for the Reds in the top of the 9th inning, trying to earn a split in the 4-game series. Ooh, check swing foul off right near the inside corner of the Reds dugout, and it's 0-2.
Well, here's where you're Todd Frazier. You battle. You got to battle.
Center field and deep. Fowler back. Fowler turns, and it's into the ivy. Votto on his way to third. He will be held there on a double by Frazier. His major league leading 38th extra base hit of the season.
And they weren't going to risk sending another runner with no outs to try to score on this play. The 0-2 pitch for Jason Mott. Look at David Ross wants it out and down, and he gets it up. And Frazier, all you have to do is put the barrel on the ball with the velocity that Mott's throwing with and the height of the pitch. You just get on top of that ball, it's going to go a long way. But, Dexter Fowler, he kind of drifted back on that ball knowing he wasn't going to catch it, but it froze Joey Votto.
Intentional walk now coming to Bruce. Brian Pena, the on-deck hitter. Nobody up in the Cubs pen.
It's like there's so many different things. I don't like to hear that.
Well, here's a situation. You're Joe Madden. You got to get the force at home. Mott has to make a pitch down in the zone, preferably running down and away from Pena, and see if he can get a roll over to Addison Russell or Anthony Rizzo.
Pena, a switch hitter, hitting from his strong side. Hitting .330 on the year as a left-handed batter. Infield in on the cut of the grass for the Cubs. Outfielders shallow and playing Pena to hit the ball the other way. Checked it, and it's 1-1.
I think this whole at bat, Pena's got to think the other way.
Popped up. And very shallow center. Fowler makes the catch for the first out. Now Suarez. As we mentioned a little bit earlier tonight, Cincinnati is dead last in the majors as a team on the season, batting with runners in scoring position. 207.
Could explain why Jim Riggman was sending Brandon Phillips in the fourth inning there, or sixth inning. Got a guy throwing it home.
Suarez fouls it off. He has been a tough out in this series. Friday night, 10th inning, 2-on, 1 out. A bouncer through the drawn-in infield. That run stood up with the difference as Cincinnati wins 5-4. He also hit a home run last night in a losing cause for the Reds.
Now the shortstop Castro and second baseman Russell can move back try to turn a double play. A little more margin for error on the ground ball now. So the one with the infield end.
What are you trying to do as a hitter right here?
Just try to keep that front shoulder in and try to just
trying to hit a ball
shoot
in the air?
everything the other way. Yeah. I mean, hit it hard.
Right.
But I just always thought it was hard to hit a ball the other way on the ground. It doesn't happen a lot.
Right.
So that's why I always thought if you try to keep the ball the other way, it keeps you from rolling over and you lift the ball the other way.
Oh, 2.
It's a 97 right there.
He's going to make a pitch right here instead of throw something hard.
He threw an 0-2 pitch to Frazier. Didn't hit the double up the center field wall.
Out of the zone, ball 1.
Does that pitch tell you anything?
He's overthrown. Well, I mean, Jason has been a classic overthrower. I was hoping after the surgery he would kind of ease back because painting the ball at 94 is every bit as good, if not better, than throwing the ball as hard as you can at 97. He needs to make a pitch instead of make a throw.
And he did. 2 down.
Oh, right down the middle.
Right down the middle.
Trying to go away. Throws everybody.
And Suarez knew it.
Oh, man, how can you not?
Yeah.
Now Negron. Upstairs, ball 1. That Negron is 1 for 3.
Dan, I'm sorry. That pitch right there that he set up down and away, and that ball couldn't have been farther from the glove. So I think as a hitter, you look for a ball in your spot until you get the 2 strikes, because he's clearly not going to locate consistently in a spot.
This one will find the seats. The bases were loaded with nobody out. A Votto single, a Frazier double, an intentional walk to Bruce. Then Pena with a fly ball to shallow center for out number 1. Suarez strikes out for out number 2. And now it's up to Negron. Trying to break the tie here in the top of the 9th.
Frazier and Bruce on second and first respectively they have to get big leads and big secondary leads. On any ground ball hit in the hole, they have to beat the throw to the base to get this run in.
1 and 2.
Which I don't know if Knott's going to let him put it in play.
Shallow center. And Mott gets out of it. Well, he can smile now. He got himself into quite a mess, and then he got himself out of it. Jason Mott, bases loaded, nobody out, and the Reds don't score. So we go to the bottom of the ninth. The Cubs won in the bottom of the ninth last night on an RBI single by Starlin Castro.
I'd say Mott hit his pitch limit
for the week.
And Baxter trying to bunt his way aboard. Baxter, David Ross, although Miguel Montero is out of the on-deck circle in Ross's spot. And then the pitcher spot. You still got Chris Denorfia on the bench. Out of play left side.
Didn't David Ross just hit a double his last at bat?
He did. Edwin Jackson up in the Cubs pen. Baxter 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts tonight. Got him. Another pitch that appeared to be wide of the zone, but it's been a wide strike zone tonight, and Baxter strikes out for the 4th time. Now Miguel Montero will bat for Ross.
Good luck. I mean, just and a breaking ball, not like it's 95 and gets on you quick.
Well, it was a breaking ball that never entered the strike zone.
Never. And this is interesting.
Well, Montero's been hot. He's got 3 home runs in the last 4 games.
I understand that, but now if Denorfia has to hit after this, he's out of bench player.
Yes.
And you're looking at extra innings.
Yeah. I guess Joe Maddon's saying, you know, why not try to get it done against Hoover instead of Chapman in the game. But
it's not like you're firing up David Ross up there. Doesn't have a chance. But he knows his personnel better than us.
A very short bench, and it's about to be all used up once Denorfia comes up. Assuming Montero doesn't end the game before that happens. 1-2 the count. Denorfia on deck in the pitcher spot.
I thought we might see Travis Wood.
That's a good bat they can use. Yep.
Well, you wonder if Montero doesn't get on base, if he keeps Denorfia for perhaps another inning or so, and lets Travis Wood hit now. But there he's standing. But
and Montero strikes out.
what a bounce back year for J.J. Hoover. Last year is big time struggles for him. This year so far he's been solid in this game especially.
Now Denorfia. Limited at bats, 16 for 38. 2 outs, nobody on. Tie game in the bottom of the ninth. Denorfia has been on the DL twice this year with a hamstring strain.
One thing you say about this strike zone, it's been consistent. It also answers the question why it's only 1-1.
A little bit too wide, ball 2.
But you have to know that as a hitter.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You can argue and complain all you want, but it's been that way the whole game. You know it.
I think if you ask players, pitchers and catchers, or pitchers and hitters, the one thing I need, strike 1 to be strike 3, and ball 1 to be ball 4 as a hitter, and not the consistency. The challenge, though, when you go east and west like that, that's an unhittable pitch on the ball away. Up and down,
you can do something about.
Close but outside, not a strike, and it's 3-2. Here comes Frazier, hitting over. We will go to extra innings here at Wrigley Field. The Reds and the Cubs are tied at 1. Edwin Jackson making his way into the game. Well, the bleachers are all ready to go. The left field bleachers opened up about a month ago. The right field bleachers just in the last week. Center and right field bleachers. And a good crowd at the beginning of the night, better than 33,000. It has thinned out as we go into extra innings here in Chicago. I'll look at some of the big plays here tonight. This Brandon Phillips trying to score from first on a double, and after a replay review, the call was overturned. And he was ruled out, so the Reds got just 1 run in the top of the 6th inning. Cubs got the run back in the bottom of the 7th on a sacrifice fly by Dexter Fowler, scoring David Ross, and it's 1-1 going to the 10th. New pitcher for the Cubs is Edwin Jackson. Jackson has been a starter most of his career, pitching out of relief. Pitching in relief for the Cubs this year. 2-1 with a 2.79 ERA. Miguel Montero stays in to catch, and Brennan Bosch will be the pinch hitter for the Reds, batting in the pitcher spot. And a fly ball into shallow center for Fowler. 1 pitch, 1 out. So here comes Billy Hamilton again. Hamilton 2 for 3, a single and a double, and 3 stolen bases.
Well, this is the same at bat for Billy Hamilton. Every at bat should be. Put it on the ground, use your speed. I mean, you see Rizzo's even with the base. Addison Russell is shortened up, but a push bunt right here to Rizzo keeps creeping in, but a push bunt right here past Edwin Jackson, it's a base hit.
Well, there are a lot of guys that are so fast that it doesn't need to be flawless. It doesn't need to be executed perfectly, and he's one of them.
I think Edwin Jackson's a pretty good athlete. You want to get it past him if you do.
Or make him take 5 or 6 steps to come and get it.
Yeah. The thing is, he's worked himself in favorable counts.
There should be a take or a swing where he falls over because he's got his crutch.
strike.
Well, that's the one thing. When you have a guy that's not hitting for a high average, you wonder why sometimes they stay there. They get ahead in the count. Everything's in their favor. Minor leagues, he's definitely swinging. But now that he's struggling, you get a take 2-0.
And he takes another. Rizzo's backed up now at first. Outside, a full count. And after Jackson, you just got to throw a strike and see how far Billy Hamilton can hit one, right?
Well, that's been his bugaboo for years. His fastball command is never. I mean, he came up at 20, and he was a special arm. He's still kind of pitching the same way he was, 10, 15 years ago.
And he walked him. The fastest man in the game is at first base with one out here in the 10th.
Now it's going to be interesting to see just how big a lead that Billy Hamilton gets. And if he's going to steal because of the lefty in the bullpen with Votto coming up next, this would be a great time for Billy Hamilton to go against the righty Jackson.
Montero just into the game this inning behind the plate after pinch hitting last inning. Votto on deck. Hamilton with a major league leading 29 stolen bases. Not nearly as big a lead as he had with Lester. You were looking at the same thing.
I was looking at the same thing.
Still big.
Yeah.
It's still a big lead, but I mean,
It's a one-way lead, though.
2 feet way out there the last time.
So against Lester, he had the left foot beyond the cut of the grass.
Yeah, now he's just got the right one.
And guys, this year, Edwin Jackson has allowed 3 steals in 3 attempts. He's been a guy who's been run against a lot in his career. 2 years ago, 18 steals in 20 attempts. Last year, 14 steals. So there would seem to be opportunity here.
It's definitely a lost start.
Not going. Fouled off 0-2.
Oh. He's taking some really weird swings tonight.
Yeah, it's like he's picking the ball up late or something.
He's almost swinging like he's hurt.
And he's coming off a groin injury.
Yeah.
First start in 5 days, but
I wonder if that's it. 0-2's a tough time to run, but this could be one where he thinks Jackson might try to throw a breaking ball to strike out Phillips. 0-2.
or do they pitch out?
Montero's way out there.
He's going. The ball hits him. He had it stolen anyways. His 4th stolen base of the game.
He got the little bigger lead. Looked like his back foot was even with the cutout, and he just first, as soon as Edwin Jackson lifted that leg, he popped out, and Montero got a decent pitch to throw on, but looked like he had a little trouble getting out of his glove, and then he threw that 2-seamer sinker into Billy Hamilton's rib cage.
Ties his career high, 4 steals in a game. Go ahead run at second with 1 out in the top of the 10th.
We have something in common.
4 steals in a game.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Once. I shut it down.
For the season, or
That was Houston. They Mike Scott or Nolan Ryan was pitching or something.
So a base hit here could give the Reds the lead. Reds just 1 for 8 tonight with runners in scoring position. On the appeal, he went 2 down.
And now decision for Joe Madden. Do you walk Votto to get to Frazier, or do you bring in the lefty to pitch to Votto, which that normally doesn't matter to him? I think Joe right now doesn't.
And there's the
there
call.
he goes.
Yep. Rosca coming on to face Votto. Tied at 1, 10th inning. So Joe Madden has gone to his bullpen for a left-hander, Zach Roskup, in a 1-1 tie here in the 10th inning. Billy Hamilton's at second. With one out of the 10th inning, Joey Votto will be the batter. Roskup has been very tough on left-handed batters. They are just 3 for 25 against him this season, as he makes his 25th appearance of the season. But this is no ordinary left-handed batter. Joey Votto having a very strong season and hitting over 300 on the year against left-handed pitching. Although he has struck out in all 3 of his at-bats against Roskup. Votto and Montero having quite an extended conversation. You can see Todd Frazier looming on deck. Go ahead run at second. 2 down in the 10th inning. Fouled off 0-1.
There's that first pitch again.
First pitch he tried to jump and he got on him a little quicker than he thought, though.
Yep.
Tony Gwynn used to do that. He'd take, and then 9th inning, extra innings,
fourth at bat,
sneak
fifth
attack.
at bat. Yep. I think too, a lot of times you're hitting off the catcher. The catcher has started you out 3 times with this or that. You get your third pitcher in there, and smart hitters. I think Tony sometimes hit off of a catcher he knew was commanding the ball game.
He's going. Pitch in for a strike and no throw. Hamilton with his 5th stolen base of the game.
And I'm surprised Chris Bryant even ran over to third. You're opening up a big hole by doing that. And Votto has the ability to shoot the ball the other way.
Does this reduce the chances of a slider now at 1 and 2?
No, it can't.
No, but I honestly think Votto's upset that he ran.
Yeah.
Because he saw him run, he took the pitch, and now it's 1 and 2. Look how spread out he is, though.
Good block by Montero.
Every pitch you have to anticipate something bad happening if you're the catcher. And you see Montero right there, just perfect execution. That ball was way off the plate.
Loop to left. And the inning is over. Votto retired with a go-ahead run at third base. And we're going to the bottom of the 10th. A big out for Roskup. Cubs coming up, trying to win it. Welcome back to Wrigley Field as we go to the bottom of the 10th inning, tied at 1 here on Sunday Night Baseball. Both bullpens have been good tonight. Manny Parra getting a big out. J.J. Hoover, 2 innings, 3 strikeouts tonight.
Big strikeouts.
Yeah. For the Cubs, Ron Brown worked a shutout inning. Mott got out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam. Zach Roskup getting Joey Votto to fly out, stranding a runner at third, and now Burke Badenhop is into the game for Cincinnati. Philosophical question for you guys. Last night, and we all know, and this is not a Brian Price thing. This is a just about every manager in baseball thing. You're on the road, tie game, 9th inning or later. You don't use your closer. They save their closer for a save situation. So last night, Chapman never pitches. Cingrani comes in. Reds lose. Tonight, Chapman was up. He's not coming in to pitch. Badenhop comes in. Who knows what's going to happen here? And again, this is not to jump on Price. Everybody does this. But you give up 1 run, you lose the game. Isn't that as important a situation as there is? I know it's not a save situation, but do you guys agree with the book in this situation?
Well, I think what you have to think about is if you bring in Chapman in this inning, he's only going to pitch 1 inning. So he gets out of this inning. You have to bring these guys in eventually. You have to assume that he's not going to give up a run.
Right.
But you have to bring this guy in at some point.
But you could go out and get 3 in the top half of the 11th.
Really?
And
that's happened a lot tonight. I honestly think
what I'm saying.
I think it should matter who's up and when they're hitting.
I think it matters. Your bullpen matters too. I mean, if you bring in Chapman, and I'm partially with you. I think it's hard. It'd be hard to lose a game with the bullpen if your best pitcher doesn't pitch. But it's also one of those things where managers will tell you it's a 162 game schedule. I'm going to need everybody.
1-2, the count on Addison Russell.
And then you're telling the rest of your bullpen, like, I don't think you guys can do this. So I'm going to bring my closer in a non-save situation just because I want to prolong the game so I don't have to get to you guys.
SportsCenter currently airing on ESPN2.
I think in this situation, when you look, after Russell, you have Fowler, who's obviously a better hitter right-handed than left, but then you have Rizzo. And, if you're a Reds fan, who would you rather see facing Rizzo in the 10th inning?
Nobody.
Russell, a ground out, an infield hit and a walk. And a fly ball to right field. 1 down. Now Fowler. Fowler 0 for 3 tonight on 3 fly ball outs, and then he hit a sacrifice fly in the 7th inning. That is the only Cubs run of the night. Tied at 1 here in the bottom of the 10th.
What would be more frustrating is if he gets Fowler out and Rizzo hits a walk-off homer, knowing that Chapman's down in the bullpen. But that's why we talk about it, and they have to figure it out.
Rizzo waiting on deck.
I don't know if Dexter Fowler could bunt at all, but Brandon Phillips got a bad groin back on the grass, and Joey Votto's back on the grass.
Lines it foul.
I'm not sure Badenhop has anything to make Rizzo swing and miss.
Both teams are in action tomorrow night. The Cubs stay home. They take on the Indians. The Reds are headed to Detroit. It's been a strike all night. It's been a wide zone all night. Left-handed batters have been frustrated with the outside part of the strike zone.
When you go back out there,
Absolutely.
maybe instead of 3 or 4 inches off the plate, you go 5 or 6.
Well, that's command. You do that if you can do it. Not a lot of guys can do it. See, that's not even a competitive pitch right there. You didn't get any offer. You didn't set up anything. 2-2 is about making a pitch because you want to stay away from this count.
Fly ball to left. 2 down. So now Rizzo, who is 0 for his last 15. But again, has hit the ball hard on 3 occasions tonight. He is 0 for 4 overall, 3 fly balls and a strikeout. The shift is on.
It's the pitch. Problem is he throws that leak. That ball leaks back out over. So he's got no margin for error making that pitch.
And we mentioned that on occasion Rizzo will push a bunt against the shift. Crucky, would you like to see it in this situation?
Not with 2 outs.
No?
Not unless he pushes it hard enough he can get at second base.
Moot point now anyways, 0-2. Chris Bryant on deck. Baden-Hop out in front of ball and 2 strikes. And Rizzo chases away to strike out and end the inning. We're going to the 11th. Todd Frazier with 18 home runs on the season will lead it off for the Reds.
Gabriel. Yep.
We go to the 11th inning at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN with Todd Frazier leading it off for the Reds. Has a double and 4 at bats tonight. Not just a baseball star, the national punt, pass, and kick champion back in 1997. Also won a national championship in football at the Pee Wee level. Won a Little League World Series championship for New Jersey over Japan. Went 4 for 4. Also closed the game. Once had a 27 rebound game in high school. As a member of the basketball team. Defeated over 500 opponents to win the Reds Fest poker tournament. And apparently is as good in ping pong as anything. Other than that, he's got nothing going for him.
That's why he had the cards out in the clubhouse. Said, let's play one hand for $3 million. And I said, what are we playing? He said, I'll let you know when it's over.
I think it was smart to walk away there, John.
I don't know. He can afford it. If I was getting paid what you were getting paid, I'd have done it.
Zach Roskup remains in the game for the Cubs.
There's no coincidence there. When you guys that win, guys that are leaders, guys, and that speaks to a bigger thing, is that, you know, here's a kid who played all the sports.
Didn't specialize, didn't play travel, all that junk. He played all the sports, and he's a phenomenal athlete because of it.
From Toms River, New Jersey. Went to Rutgers and broke his older brother's home run record at Rutgers. He'll be followed by Jay Bruce and Brian Pena.
Right there.
The thing that's amazing about it, when I watched him take batting practice today, it was, he was going out of right field as easily as he was going out of left.
Up high, 2 balls, 2 strikes. On deck, Jay Bruce. Ross Cup getting Joey Votto to fly out, stranding Billy Hamilton at third in the 10th. And he gets Frazier, and Frazier is steamed. Joining a growing number of hitters on both sides who have thought the strike zone has been too big tonight.
That's how he's got to watch. You can't get thrown out of this game. The bench is already being used. You got to stay in. You never know how long this game's going to last. That one actually might have been a strike.
According to K-Zone, that one was more of a strike than a number of the others we've seen tonight. Now Jay Bruce. A run on 7 hits for the Reds, a run on 6 hits for the Cubs as Cincinnati bats here in the 11th.
I guarantee you, Jay Bruce has the green light here, 2-0.
Yeah.
Slider, 2-1.
And that's knowing a hitter struggling.
That's also
he's going to be aggressive. Yeah. He wants to put the team ahead. Nice slider down the way, and he swung at a fastball, unfortunately.
But when you go from AA to AAA to the big leagues, that's one of the things I think that changes dramatically from an offensive perspective and from a pitching perspective. Fastball counts don't mean fastball, especially at this level. And one of the challenges for a pitcher is you've got to be able to throw a fastball and a fastball count to a fastball hitter and still get a good result.
And a 1-out walk for Bruce. And Chapman up again, throwing just every now and again. Hoping the Reds can take a lead.
I'm assuming he's loose.
Well, Ron Kulpa certainly hopes he's loose. After Chapman drilled him from the bullpen, hit Kulpa, the first base umpire, in the right elbow last inning, a couple of innings ago. The batter, Brian Pena, turns around to his weaker side, the right side, to face the left-hander Roscoe. Pena's 0 for 4 tonight. Right-hander Brian Schlitter is up in the Cubs pen. And could be coming on to face the right-hand hitting Suarez, the next batter for the Reds. Play off to the right, 1-2. Roscup, the fourth reliever of the night used by the Cubs. Rondon, Mott, Jackson preceded him. Lester, 7 innings, gave up a run. DeSclafani, 6 1/3, gave up a run for the Reds. They've also used 4 relievers. As the count goes to 2-2. Well, they had a 2-hour and 48-minute rain delay last night. Now they're into the 11th inning here tonight. Full count now on Pena. After the appeal, no swing.
I think at this point in the game, you got the bottom of your order coming up. This might be a time where you hope that Brian Pena can put the ball in play, and you send Jay Bruce. I know Jay Bruce hasn't been getting a good read off Roscup yet. Roscup, I might throw over here just to see what we got working.
Not going, and it's ball 4. Back-to-back walks issued by Roscup. And here comes the skipper. And there's the call to the pen for Schlitter. He wants the right-hander to face Suarez. Just recalled today, and here he is into the game in extra innings with a couple of men aboard. Tied at 1. The Reds are threatening as they bat in the top of the 11th. Back at Wrigley in a 1-1 tie. Dan Shulman, John Kruk, Kurt Schilling, Buster Olney. Sunday night baseball. The Reds and the Cubs, 2 men on with a 1 out. Runners at first and second with a 1 out. Just recalled today from AAA Iowa, right-hander Brian Schlitter. He went 2-3 with a 4.15 ERA and 61 appearances for the Cubs last season. The 29-year-old is in his 3rd stint in the big leagues this season. This will be his 10th appearance with the Cubs here in 2015. Eugenio Suarez will be the batter for Cincinnati. Suarez driving in the game-winning run for the Reds on Friday, hitting a home run last night. He is 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts tonight.
Pretty good weekend. Game winning, game tying.
Could be a great weekend.
Bruce at second, Pena at first, 1 down. Off the glove of Montero, the runners hold. Worst team in baseball, batting with runners in scoring position this season, and even worse here tonight, just 1 for 10. Ground ball to first, backs up Rizzo. The second one, back to first, not in time. Fielder's choice, runners on the corners, 2 down.
There's nothing prettier than a first baseman likes to throw.
No, and that was a great throw, but you got to give Starlin Castro a lot of credit too for making a really good throw. A lot of times that ball get away from the pitcher, and the runner on second, Jay Bruce, would score easy. But watch how Rizzo gets to tax this ball. Most first basemen don't have that ability to back up on balls. But you see Rizzo, how he backed up on that ball, and just that little backup, which he had to do, caused Suarez to be safe right there. But you look at the throw, Slitter made a pretty good play on that ball right there to keep it in front of him. That ball gets past him, it's a game. Like a 1-run game, and you're going to face Chapman.
Here's Negron.
I think one of the things that goes unrecognized right there is to come up on that ball to make a play, put you in the baseline and the runner. Coming back, he's in a position to make a play and guarantee himself an out.
Yeah, and that's it.
It's instinctive. It's
so hard to turn a double play like that. But in order to get the lead runner, that's what he had to do.
Reds have left 4 men on at third base tonight.
That takes a good first base. So many first basemen are reluctant to throw, to be aggressive, especially in extra innings.
You watch how Anthony Rizzo read this ball. I mean, it's just, and a perfect throw to Starlin Castro.
From down under.
You watch Schlitter. I mean, this is.
Thank goodness he's that big.
Yeah.
Nice play.
Because that's the thing with pitchers. They don't know, okay, get off the base and go catch it. They try to reach for everything.
Ground ball to short. And the inning is over. The Reds fail to capitalize again. Chris Bryant will lead it off for the Cubs as they come up in the bottom of the 11th in a 1-1 tie. Chicago, the Reds and the Cubs tied at 1. A lot of people sticking it out deep into the night. Near 11 o'clock here locally as Chris Bryant will lead off the inning for Chicago.
Well, Chris Bryant's night started out on a positive. The jam shot right here, he fights off and bloops, legs in front of Jay Bruce, a hustle double, and then the ground out, and then contact was tough to come by, chasing balls out of the strike zone there, and then J.J. Hoover did an unbelievable job through the perfect pitch right there. I mean, you have to be a phenomenal hitter to hit, just to put that one in play.
Yeah. I just remember, and I mean, it's kind of stating the obvious, but talking to Manny Ramirez about the hardest pitch for a right-handed hitter to hit off a right-handed pitcher was the slider down and away, the power slider.
But one swing right here will send people home happy.
He's got 7 home runs on the season. His last one was on May the 26th. Rally caps in all forms visible around Wrigley.
She's awesome.
And a strike. After Bryant, Chris Coghlan, Starlin, Castro. The Cubs are 33-27. They're 8 games ahead of their pace at this time a year ago. Roller to short. 1 down.
The one thing you love about a young player, look at him. That's a routine grounder to short. No way he's going to beat it out, but he's still running hard and making Suarez come up with everything clean and a good throw. And Votto actually went down and dug that one out.
So here's Chris Coghlan, 1 for 3 with a walk. He doubled back in the 6th inning. He's got some pop, 8 home runs on the season. Down the left field line and past Negron. He has to recover it in foul territory. It will be a double for Coghlan.
Coghlan right here gets a pitch down and away, and he just goes out and just tries to flip it into left field. And you look at Negron right here, very, very lucky that this ball actually hit his glove, because if it doesn't hit his glove, it goes past him. You're putting Coghlan on third base with only 1 out, where basically a fly ball is going to score him. He's lucky he got his bat on that ball, or his ball on the glove on the ball. I mean, it's a long night.
Now Jeff Pico, the pitching coach, on his way to the mound.
You guys thinking at all about possibly pitching around Castro here, given Baxter's struggles tonight?
But then after Baxter, you got Montero. What would you guys do?
I think I would walk Starlin Castro right here. Baxter with 4 strikeouts. You know, you got to attack him, even though it's the lefty-righty matchup. But
you need to create that force. That way you can make a mistake and then still get yourself an out.
Because when you struck out 4 times in a game, you're next at bat. All you want to do is put it in play. And if they walk Starlin Castro right here and he puts it in play on the ground, it's a double play out of the inning.
And there are no other bench players available for the Cubs. Their bench has been used up. Let's see what Pena does. It's standing to crouch behind the plate. Looks like they're going to go after him.
Yeah, that's the thing. They go out to Jeff Pico goes out to talk to Badenhop, telling him, hey, you don't have to give him anything to hit. And as a hitter, you're thinking that, he probably doesn't want to give me anything good to hit. And the first pitch, they throw a fastball down the middle and you take it.
Castro won the game with a base hit last night. Outside, 1-1. Cubs have had some clutch moments. Walk-off win last night, 11 wins in their final at bat, the most in baseball this year. Line to left center field, and he's done it again. Second night in a row. That Starlin Castro will be mobbed after delivering the game-winning hit.
They'll have to run to get him. mentioned about walking Starlin Castro right here with the man hit behind him with 4 strikeouts and Baxter. And that's just a bit. I think they wanted to pitch around him.
They did. Look at where he went for the glove. He set up way off the plate away.